extend our deepest condolences on the passing of one of our alumni, Courtney Franco Russell, class of 2013. She will always remain a valued part of our school community, and we are grateful for the connection she shared and sympathies with your family, friends, and all those who are mourning her loss. At this time, I ask everyone to join me in a moment of silence in her memory. Thank you. I call our regular meeting of the Richmond Board of Education to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sandy, if you could please read our mission and vision statement and take roll.
Sure. The mission statement at Richmond Community Schools is, at Richmond Community Schools, we provide a quality education that empowers students to be successful in a global community. And our vision statement is to foster a culture of academic excellence, creativity, and character, ensuring that all students are prepared for success in an ever-changing world. And then I will do roll. Board Member Cunningham? Here. Board Member Michon? Here. Board Member Sutton? Here. Board Member Gillis? Here. Board Member Steyer? Here. Board Member Telto?
Here.
And I am Board Member Fortuna. I am here and you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Support. Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'm looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Any discussion?
I just have a statement and then a question, Pasquale. For the bus driver, I know we're hiring one, but then on the sheet it said one pending, and there were 2 spots still, so that means we will have 2 filled and just 1 left? Am I reading that correctly?
We just offered another person,
okay.
so we'd be fully staffed.
So we will be fully staffed.
Yes.
Oh,
That
that's
just
exciting.
happened yesterday, I believe.
Okay. Oh, that's very exciting. Okay. And then I just want to say that I'm glad that Annie is staying with us and got the position she had. I'm excited for her, and I know she's excited too. So that is good news. That's it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our first item on our presentations this evening is our track team state champions. We're going to do certificates, and the board's going to be, we'll do our regular stand-up, and when we're done, don't leave, because we're going to go take a picture. Thank you. Oh, Preston. Oh.
Is this one up? Nope. Right there.
You got to hold it.
Yeah, okay. So, like Ms. Michon said, I'm honored to be here today to present our state championship trap team. This is the 2nd state championship in trap in school history. The last was in 2018. Perfect. And I'm going to turn around because I don't want to talk to the board. I want to talk to you guys. And I've gotten to know this team a lot more each year as I've gotten into the position, and getting to know Coach Grew this year with his first year as the head coach. We got talking a lot of what went into this state championship. You see the large roster of kids. You see the great roster of coaches there. When we talked at the city council meeting, you mentioned that it's between 1,000 and 1,300 rounds per kid per year between practice and competitions, which is a lot. It's a lot of time, it's a lot of resources, it's a lot of coaching, it's a lot of coordination. So a lot of the credit goes to the kids for this accomplishment, but there's also a lot of credit that goes to those coaches that work so hard, and to the trap boosters that fundraise year-round to make sure that they've got the resources they need, the time they need, the rounds they need, the clays they need. all of the stuff for traveling for all their competitions. So this is an accomplishment that goes to them as well with that. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce the team in alphabetical order.
Yes.
And I love, whoever made this graphic gets an A+ from me, because it's so easy to read. So we'll start with Elias Alfaro, Michelle Alfaro, Kylie Allison, Bryce Bellhoff, Aiden Bayer, Wyatt Flowers, Kylie Birkenheimer, Isabella Campbell,
No one's here yet, right?
No, it's not yet.
Frankie Collins.
There you go.
When your name's called, come on up and get your certificate. I'll let you get going. And it's one of the downsides of the long layoff between that and this meeting. So, Stephen Collins. Luke Cunningham. Ethan DeLay. Josh DeLay. Riley DeLay. John Fanone. Nathan Fraley. Madeline Nesta. Evan Brew. Dylan Jones. John Monkowski. Kyle Kraus. Lane Muller. Hayden Palin. Nicholas Palumbo. Nolan Palumbo. Evan Pfeiffer. John Blanca. Keegan Ruiz. Isaac Sabins. Austin Santabria. Mateus Shoddy. Clayton Schultz. Brady Scott. Jacob Sisko. James Thomas. And John Wilson. And then our assistant coaches, Terry Flannery, George Frank, Harold Frank, Ryan Nesta, Alex MacArthur, Larry Leininger, Chris Palumbo, Steve Wharton, and head coach Chris Greer.
Good job, Lisa. So much.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And it doesn't sound like they're taking much time off because we just posted about the fall registration for the fall season opening up later this month. So then they'll be back at it, prepping for the fall and then prepping for next spring. So hopefully we're back up here next August. So thank you.
We're going to go over there.
If we can have everybody start.
Okay, our next item on our agenda is our 26-27 Child Care Parent Handbook. Mr. Pismono.
Thank you, President Sean and members of the Board of Education. First, I'd like to say I'm happy to be on this side of the table this evening. Nice change, nice to be from here. And before I get started on the Child Care Parent Handbook, I do have Ms. Heidi Manguni with me, the Will Lee Elementary Principal, to answer any questions. But they're pretty simple changes on these first few, so, but if you do have any questions, she can help me answer them. So, to start with the Child Care Parent Handbook, you'll see on the cover page, there's just a year change. On page 2, you will see just updated personnel, including myself, and some people you'll see changes there for personnel. And then on page 11, you will see parent information updated. So just you have the addition of the parents must drop students off at the Childhood Injury Center for safety purposes. And those were the only changes to the 26-27 Child Care Parent Handbook. Any questions?
Just, they had been able to before, or we
Yeah.
didn't have it and we just had,
Yeah, it's kind of always been the expectation, but like with anything, sometimes it can get a little bit
Yeah.
lax, and so we want to make sure that we can reference that and make it more of a formal, so that way we're tightening up
Yep.
safety and security things.
yep, I figured, but I want to make sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It didn't have anywhere that it lived, really.
Right, right, okay. Yep, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, there was one for the field trip, is that?
That's for our next, yeah, that's going to be the,
All
yep.
right, I'll talk about that.
Yeah, yep, you're right, though. We'll talk about that, yep.
Okay, next item on our agenda is the 26-27 Preschool Parent Handbook. Same two.
Okay. Yeah, so again, you'll see not many changes, very basic changes, but you'll see the cover page is the year change, file name and footer. On page 2, you'll see the same personnel changes to our central office admin and any other changes that we had to make for staff. On page 9, you'll just see that we changed the daycare licensing consultant name, updated for Jocelyn Marinelli. Should be able to say that one time, right? And then on page 17 is where you will see child care delay start notification process updated. And Candace, is what you were referring to?
Yes, about the field trips, yes. So I feel like I just recollecting back in my situation and when I had a little one and then in the preschool, I mean, some of the field trips that we went on, the parents drove themselves and we weren't really chaperoning, we were just attending. And so.
Oh, wait, this one doesn't refer to parent, chaperones bringing their children. That's in the parent student handbook.
Okay, all right. forgive
This
me.
one's not an either, sorry.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So those are the only changes to the 26-27 preschool parent handbook. Any questions?
I've got one. Regarding the immunization waivers, page 14, underneath the the medication category. It's on the final paragraph there, it says if a parent or guardian does not want their child vaccinated, the school will need to sign a waiver indicating either a religious or medical reason for the non-vaccination. Is there any, like an other category for if there's a parent that just, it's not religious or medical, it's just they don't want their child vaccinated? Is there a waiver process for that? And does this speak to that?
We're on page 14, am I?
Up at the top.
Right above parent information.
Oh, okay, got it. Perfect.
Because also on page 12, under a healthcare plan, I think there was some reference to the immunizations there also, but under the medication category, that's where it spoke more specifically about it.
So what we could do is maybe take a look at the waiver, just a suggestion, and kind of take a look over, and you're suggesting that we have something like an other or something where people aren't having to specify why they're choosing not to get vaccinated? Is that kind of your thought?
Yeah, that's it. I'm just wondering, because I see that there's only two waivers, like religious or medical. And
But isn't that because the waiver's not ours, it comes from the health
It
department?
comes from the health department?
So
Yeah.
it's a document that is given by the health department. So I think if you have a question, you need to ask the health department, because it's not our Richmond Schools waiver that we're putting together.
Okay, yeah, I just, busy weekend, I didn't get into a deep dive to do any further digging, but I just saw that part, and then I was like, what if?
Yeah.
Now,
Just
that
a
is
grammatical.
I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
Daniel, go ahead. It is required.
It is required, but grammatical question, is it supposed to be the school that signs the waiver, or is it the parent that signs the waiver?
The parent signs the waiver.
Because it says,
Yeah, the way it's worded,
the
that's
school will
correct.
need to sign a waiver indicating that religious or medical, but, because I've done it
It
before for my
probably,
kiddos.
it probably means to say signed, I think, right? Isn't that what you think you wanted to say? A signed ED,
We'll need a signed or.
signed waiver.
Oh, there
Yep.
we
The
go.
school will need a sign.
Simple little.
Yep, yep.
There we go.
No, but it's a good one,
Yeah.
because we don't sign them, yeah.
Yep.
Questions?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, next item on our agenda is the 26-27 Student Parent Handbook, and I think we have all three of you up here.
Yes, I'm lucky to be joined by our principals, Mrs. Sabo, Ms. Morella, and Ms. Mangumi again. And there are a lot, as you can see in your list, there's a lot of updates to this student parent handbook. Some pretty simplistic and some a little bit more detailed. So we'll go through page by page. The ones that are simplistic in nature, I'm going to cover, and then anything that needs a little more explanation, I have Preston as well. He might jump in on something as well. Please stop if you have a question on a certain page. Okay? I'd rather do that than wait till the end. That's okay?
Okay,
All right.
page 3.
Well, page 2, I'm not past cover page. Page 2, just updated information, as you can see. Updated names, updated positions in page 2. Same thing as the other ones with adding myself and making any personnel changes on page 2. And then page 3 and 4, or page 3 and 4 should be highlighted yellow, because those are all going to change once we finalize. The page numbers are all going to change once we delete things and make it final. So that's why those are all marked up. Page
So,
5, or sorry.
so back to 3.
Yes.
I was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 one down, we got COVID-19 protocol. So I think later in the pages, that's removed.
So all the, why this section is going to be completely renovated
Right.
once you guys approve this handbook, we're not great. And then we're going to have to match the pages once we delete everything.
Right, okay, yeah, I saw it was lined out
Yeah.
further in there, so I didn't know if it should have been lined out there.
Yep,
So that's-
yeah, we didn't do anything with these table contents yet, because it's all going to change. Once we make our edits. Good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sounds good. All right,
And
and
then
then,
in 2 weeks when we vote on it, we'll have it, the new
Yes.
thing, so you'll be able to see
clean-
what was taken out,
Yeah.
like what they're
the clean
talking
version.
about.
Yes. Okay, page 5, the team, we removed the letter from the superintendent. One, because at that time we didn't have a superintendent, and 2, this booklet is a student parent handbook, not necessarily a welcome back packet. So we didn't feel it fit this booklet. Page 6, just removed, we're Richmond Community Schools, and we have a mission and vision statement. So we removed just the individual schools' vision or mission, because we are one district, and they felt that that was a nice, we all follow this mission and vision. Page 7, just updated the language for age of majority by law. That was what we had, and the green is what the law and our policy, our board policy states. So we just updated that. This one I can just scroll because almost every page is.
I know.
Page 9, as Trustee Steyer said, we got rid of the COVID-19 protocols and hopefully never bring them back, or any other type of thing like this to have to deal with, but those don't pertain anymore, so yes. Page 9. Page 11.
Can I pause just?
Sure.
And I'm sorry, I apologize. On page 7, going back to that for just a minute, guys, in the paragraph below, it reads something about otherwise sections D through G. And there's no G.
Yeah, there's 8 through F.
There's A through F, but there's no G.
I think, whoa. I don't know, I mean, do I have to finish this? I think if you look at F, where it says, and provide reasons for the absences, it's hard. I'm wondering if that was supposed to be G, because everything has a semicolon after it, and so I'm guessing that that's,
Okay, so
I mean, I didn't
just
type it, but I'm
correction.
assuming
That probably
that's,
correct.
yes. Because really, those are the ones that, yes.
Okay, sorry. So whoever, is someone marking or making note? Okay, so we're going to need to fix that.
We'll look that up, and I bet you that is G. We'll look at that.
Okay, okay,
It's
I'm
in our,
sorry.
it's in our board policy.
I'm sorry, I missed
Oh, you're good.
That's good. Yeah, I think it's just grammatical, or formatting.
type.
Yes.
Okay, we use this function here. It's much easier. Number 11. Okay, page 11, we removed language about electronic devices during lockdowns. Removes language under emergency information sheets. This is not accurate with our device policy, with kids having the phone, maybe have the phones on them during drills. That does not comply with the law, because the law, you'll see later when we talk about the cell phone laws, there, can't tell them we can't use them in emergency situations.
And on page 11, right underneath that, under the immunizations, going back to that, I don't see a deadline for when those are due or when that has to be submitted.
It's typically, depends, it's always October 31st or November 1st is the deadline that we have to have the waiver or the proof of.
So that's a state deadline, but is there anything that we need to put in as a school to kind of reinforce that to the parents so that they're aware?
Has it changed at all, guys? I thought it changed.
It does change because it depending.
No, not anymore.
And it depends on when the deadline falls, determines when we set the deadline for the school, because we always like to pad in some extra time for families. So it's
Subjective.
a little, not subjective, but it moves a little bit, just within a few days of one another. I mean, we could put the,
And I think the health department is
They set the
ultimately the
date.
one that sets it, so
Yeah.
they communicate with the secretaries that collect that information. So, I don't know, like if we put a deadline in, we might then have to change it every year, so.
and also to Mr. Steiner, nobody ever asks families why they're not immunizing their children, just so that you know. We don't ever, that's just not our practice either, just in case that ever came up. I know that's not what you were saying, but it was very specific in the little kids handbook and not so much in the bigger kids handbook, so, but I just want to let you know.
Okay, page 12. Page 12 had language cleanup about homebound instruction. You can see just cleaning up some good superintendent designee, how to request, there's not major changes, just some language cleanup. And then removes language about lost and found, as it's mentioned elsewhere down here. This doesn't really pertain in this section. 13 removes language about lunches being free. The reason why we did that, just in case it changes, we participate in the National School Lunch Program. And if it's free, and if it's not, then we'll communicate.
On that page 17, you need a return after, before the meal service, after.
There's no returns on any of them, if
Yes,
you
there
look.
are. If you look at the big blue categories.
Not on non-discrimination, and the one before it wasn't.
But look at the ones prior.
Yeah, it just needs to be.
This needs to be formed, it's not in this final version.
Yeah,
Once
it's
we
a
get all
draft.
this cleaned up, then we'll make sure it's,
Okay.
a few eyes get it on it, so it looks great. Yeah, the format is not in this final draft. let me tell you. Any other questions there?
On 13, so and I noticed that on 10 and 13, on page 13, the category was a non-discrimination and access to equal educational opportunity. And on page 10, it's equal education opportunity. So I don't know if those are supposed to be different, but they seem very similar in nature. But the language for what categories the discrimination falls under is different for each one of those. And so I didn't know if it's something like a redundancy, and then, but the language is different regarding like specifically equal opportunity, equal education opportunity on page 10. It doesn't include the sex, including sexual orientation on it, whereas the other category does include that.
I think that the first one is a reference to Title IX and the process that goes if there is a complaint. I think complaints will be investigated. I think that one is a little bit more specific to Title IX.
Especially because it refers to a compliance officer.
Yeah.
And that is Title IX stuff.
Yeah, this is Title
That's what I think.
13 is,
So I understand it, like the first one is the actual like clause, and the second one is, hey, if this is being broken, these are the steps we follow to ensure it's being investigated and that they're getting their due process and all of that. So
Yeah, I just saw, because for me, it talked about equal opportunity, but it didn't include all the same categories, so that's where.
Oh, that's good.
that first one's just Title IX, from what I understand it. And this one's a little bit everything.
Okay.
Yeah, good, that's good. 15, page 15, we have removed language about high school students changing from in-person to virtual. That is not accurate, right? We don't use that, so we don't update it. Page 17,
Can I back you up just a little bit?
yes, you can.
Page 14, it says the review of instructional materials and activities. In there, my question is, what is the process for a parent to review the material? Because it says in there that parents can review it, but what is the process?
Board policy.
They contact the building, the experience that I've had, they would contact either the superintendent or the building principal.
Okay.
So like any parent that wishes to review materials or observe instruction, I guess that's always been the process and it's in the policy.
It's in the policy.
Following
Board
policy.
policy.
We have to have a
Right.
board policy
Right.
that has to do with parents wanting to review instructional.
And yes, there is a board policy for that.
We do.
Right, and it says it's subject to reasonable restraints and limits. What does that mean?
I would assume, I would say that like if someone wanted to come in and observe the instruction every single day, at some point that would be, I feel like at some point that would be, it would get to a point where it would maybe not be considered reasonable any longer, so, and there might be a bigger issue at hand, so, but I guess that would be up to a larger conversation.
And I think removing instructional material from the school, I think it needs to be looked at.
Correct.
On site.
That is correct, yep.
And then in addition, like always being mindful of FERPA too, because if you're observing something and then it's a diabetic student and then that parent now understands these medical issues, so it's about privacy for all the kids too, so that's another reason why we take that into account.
Sure.
What are the limitations?
Sure.
Yep.
Okay. Good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 17, directory information includes, it's updating what can be in directory information. you'll see the language there that was changed. The board policy.
Can I ask you a question on that one?
Sure.
And I did call Pasquale earlier today and asked him, but I'm just curious how, and Pasquale, you might not know because you're new here, or maybe even from your other district, how often does it happen? I guess I was surprised, and even though it's not new, I was surprised that all this information can be released to any individual without parental consent, and that kind of struck me as very odd. How often, and who's requesting this, do we know? I mean, you guys might know.
The only person that I've ever had request directory information was our resource officer. That's it, just name and phone number typically.
But I could come, any parent could come and say, I want the directory of.
You can't do another child.
You can't.
No.
No, you
It says
can't.
any individual.
Well, they can ask.
Well, it says it can be released to any individual.
I-
Can be provided upon request to any individual, even without written consent of a parent. So what would a limitation be other than a nonprofit? That's the only. or
Well,
a
sometimes the newspaper could do an article or something. I've had that happen. We're at the high school, we did our senior page or something, and they asked for information.
But it sounds like everybody else can also. The
Yeah,
way this is-
I'm
The way
not
this
sure.
is written, anybody can ask for it, and I guess that concerns me.
I think another qualifying one would be like recruiters.
Yeah.
They would be able to, because there's that, the military can do that, but yeah, I think to your point, it should probably be specified.
Because it's like a lot of information, right, like about every kid that we have. And then my other question is, if a parent opts out, because it says we can let the district know, if then, like a military recruiter or a newspaper, would you then contact the parent and say, is this okay?
So I can speak to, the military recruitment is a separate check mark in Power School, and I think that's actually on here somewhere. It might be farther down. That's a separate list. So like you could opt in for the directory information, but opt out for the military recruiting. And so when that's in Power School, and so when you re-register every year and fill out those forms, like you can opt in and opt out at any time. So sometimes people will not have opted out of the military, and then their kid gets to be a 10th or 11th grader, and then it's kind of like, ooh, actually I don't want this. We just let them know, hey, you have to go in. So one of the secretaries will pull that report, and then before that file gets sent off, all of those individual names get removed. But if you've opted out, we don't notify you to say, because we use that check mark as the opt-out, so to say. So we don't then say like, hey, the military recruiter came in and you had opted out of it, so we didn't give them your stuff. We just didn't give them the stuff, yes. We run, and this is not necessarily this, but we run, I guess it's kind of in B, we have a lot of individuals that opt out of the media release when their kids are younger, and then the kids get older and they ask, well, wait a second, why was my student not photographed? And so we also try and go in, because that sometimes people just don't think of that, but then they realize, hey, my kid's 17 now, I'm okay if they're published in a newspaper or on Facebook. So it does change, and parents have the ability to change it at any point.
Is there a way to more specifically customize? Like, I guess thinking as a parent, I would be okay with newspaper, sports on Facebook. It's just the creepy part to me is any individual could go and request this information on my kid, and I would not know that Joe down the street, my neighbor, wanted all my kid's information for some reason. Is there a way to kind of differentiate, like this, yes, that, no?
I think
I
you
don't
almost
know
got,
about that.
I think you almost have to ask the attorney, because if you look at that part, then that paragraph, it's talking about limited circumstances except for state and federal law. I just think if we get Pasquale, just ask a question that there's a few little concerns on that paragraph. I mean, it's been that way forever, and except for now, you know, we've got those things. So let's just make sure what we're doing is.
Okay, it is under, just so you know, I just looked it up, it's under the purple law.
I was going to say, some of the stuff still
Yeah.
applies to FERPA.
It does.
Our next door
And
neighbor
the-
still couldn't get it.
And that's where the state and federal law
And that
part
list that
comes
you
in.
see right now on there is under purple.
But, so then, isn't that a misleading sentence then? Directory information can be provided upon request to any individual? Isn't that misleading then?
Yeah, because not all of
can't, explains. You could say can or may be provided. I mean, that's not 100% either of those words. What you're saying for prevents policing and stuff.
But I think it comes, directory information to any individual other than for-profit, just when they're talking about the military and different stuff. So those, whether the military is not individual, but the recruiting person is an individual. I think that's, again, I say flag that paragraph too and just ask the attorney, should it say may or some, just make the word fit when we're talking about FERPA law and all of that. That's what I would do.
I'll do that, and I'll give an update on what they say in this section.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, number 20, page 20. Jen, I don't know, I have you down here. We removed the chart and language about okay to say in this section?
Yeah. First of all, the chart is just inaccurate to begin with, but okay to say is outlined above this already. We don't need to have it twice.
Okay.
But it doesn't really, can you scroll back down or up, please, where it says student well-being? Student well-being and okay to say are not at all the same thing, at all. Okay to say is a Michigan State Police reporting service, anonymous service, and student well-being is not that. It's very different. So we just wanted to get rid of that chart because okay to say is up.
And we have that information on our ID badge, excuse ID badges as
It's
well.
everywhere.
All over the hallways.
Everywhere.
Okay. 21 removes language about excluding students from school and language cleanup under surveys. Any questions there? Just cleaning up language about surveys, not vocational interest, just getting rid of some words and saying surveys in general. Good there? Okay. Page 22. Okay, page 22 removes language regarding administering medication in school as it's part of the code of conduct. So this is redundant information about you cannot get medicine, you cannot sell drugs, you cannot get like a prescription medication, which is outlined in our code of conduct later in the book. Okay. That's why that was removed. 24, language cleanup about withdrawal from school. Just changing it to go with state law, not saying the specific words that they said. They were just changing to comply with what, a little more generic. Page 25, language cleanup, it removes language about surveys, test out credits. You'll see some things stricken out and put superintendent designee versus director of curriculum educational services, updating some of that. And then that part at the bottom is not vocational interest surveys, again, is already covered under surveys. They did a lot of cleanup. I was very proud of this. A lot of this is redundant. Andrea is going to talk about page 26, updating and removes language about credit recovery and dual enrollments. Is there anything there you want to highlight or any questions about that?
Just kind of the same thing, like credit recovery, taking out like specificity of like pigeonholing us into like one specific program or one mode of delivery. It talked about a summer school, and then it talked about like in-person courses, which has not been a thing that we've offered since my time here, but then also the Michigan virtual piece. We don't always use Michigan virtual, so we just, again, wanted to make sure that the information was there, but also that it didn't require us to use one mode or another. And then we did add the piece in here about that there may be a per course enrollment fee. As of right now, we're covering those courses, but if things were to change for financial reasons, grant money, however those have been paid for, because I know it comes from multiple different sources, and we just wanted to make sure that was in there, so it did state that like there may be a fee associated with credit recovery. So
we're just basically we do credit recovery, here it is. And then however
Yes.
we do it
Yes.
happens because we could be doing different stuff.
And two, I think it gives us the wiggle room, so like depending on what the course may need, certain programs are better, like Spanish 1 it's difficult to take online and you're recording videos and stuff like that. And so like the Michigan Virtual Platform is better than the Edgenuity or it's Instructional Services or ISS, it's what it's called now, or SIS. So we just want to make sure that like, again, we're not in here requiring us to do one or the other. So that was that piece. And then if you scroll down for the dual enrollment, this was like, that's not required. Like you don't have to, like that goes against what the state laws are. Dual enrollment is open to students in 8th through 12th grade. And so that just no longer followed along, and it just didn't get taken out when we updated these a few years ago, so.
Good. Okay. All right, Candace, I think this is yours. Page 27, add language about students remaining at field trip and chaperones not permitted to bring their other children. So, what are your?
So just my thoughts for that is just when they're in preschool is all. I'm not talking about but the preschool field trips, because the parents drive themselves, whether it's to the zoo, lakes, the other one over there in Ray, and they're not really, and so if you have a small one that's still in a stroller or whatever, it's not a lot that you could, like, the kids are riding the bus there, you're not. So could there be exceptions? Could there be some sort of an exception to the rule?
Yeah, so this is K-12, so that wouldn't apply to preschool, so I'm glad you asked. And so the other thing is that it's that word chaperone, so as long as you're not in charge of other students as well, because then it becomes a safety issue, because you can imagine if you have a 3-year-old that has to use the restroom and you're watching 4 other kids, now where do you go and when, and we just have to make sure. So we are just asking parents, if you don't want to be a chaperone and be in charge of other students, go ahead and bring your younger siblings in the stroller, but if you're going to be a chaperone in charge of other students, we're asking that all of your eyes are on those students and that you don't have a sibling. So I think that does both, if that's okay.
Right, I went back trying to think if you guys could institute the language in those forms for just coming, but not being chaperoned.
It's not in the current field trip form, but we do plan on working on that, so yeah, we can, And that's something that our teachers at Blue Devil Night too, we're working on communicating and letting them know, the why also, like it's not safe if you're watching other people's children, making sure you don't have extras with you, but if you want to just come and join and walk the zoo with your younger one in a stroller, feel free, you just wouldn't be a chaperone.
As a guest.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah.
Well, and I think, Candace, a lot of times when we do the field trips, we get group rates, right? So these parents, if you're not a chaperone, you might just happen to be at the zoo.
Right.
Like you don't get
Yes,
to
that's exactly
be
right.
beneficial or be a benefit of that group rate. You need to pay full price to happen to be at the zoo, as opposed to, it just-
Elementary care right
That's
there.
the exact phrase that we use all the time too. Just
Right.
happen to be there. I can't tell you no.
And that's fine, but like you said, you're not a chaperone, so
Yeah.
you're not gonna get that discounted
Not sure.
rate you're paying full price to attend.
Yeah, and the younger siblings do come on the preschool one. That's more of like kind of a family field trip, if you will. That's really what that becomes at the lakes, and so that's fine. But I think K-12, we're just trying to make sure that students are safe for the parents that can't attend.
Good? Good. Great question, great discussion. 28, page 28, language cleanup about courses for high school credit. You'll just see just some cleanup, nothing majorly changed, just cleanup of what's actually taking place with how we give grades and courses, credits.
Just to confirm that, are we taking out the 80% that can retake anything?
Let me see where it's, where it is. So the thought with that, so what we have is we have situations that we're running into with students that get an 81%, and they are not allowed to retake it, and an 81% is a B-. And we have students that get a 79% and are allowed to retake it. And ultimately, then that student that first got the 79% can jump up to a 93, but that student with the 81 never has that opportunity. And so what I think that as we're really working towards that mastery of the learning concepts, the responsibility piece is still there, because that student with the 81% still would have to follow the rules or policies set forth, making sure that their homework is turned in timely within 2 minutes, within 2 weeks, 2 minutes, guys, within 2 weeks, and still following those rules. So there is that responsibility piece, but if we're really focused on that mastery of those concepts, I am a firm believer that if it takes you an extra 7 days to learn it, then take those extra 7 days. And as we really have moved away from multiple choice and we're trying to get more of those performance assessments and actually the application, I think that it's new for our students, it's new for our teachers, and I think that by allowing this 80% not to be in there, those students that do get the 81, 83s still have that ability, and so that was the idea, I guess, so to say, or the justification behind this. So.
And coming from a parent who has lived the 81%, thank you on behalf of everybody, because I read this, I was with my daughter last night, I was kind of reading through it, I was like, oh, I think that she was like the happiest kid ever, thinking that she could retake something, because there have been a few times that she got the 81, and she's like, but my friend who got a 75 now has 100, and I sat with an 81, so I love that.
And I think the responsibility piece, like, it's still there because there are, like, you do still have to have, it's not just like you can pop in and say, like, oh, I want to retake after school today because I got an 81. It, those pieces are still in there. So we're excited and hopeful that the students will, take advantage of that too.
I wish my teachers would have done that back in All right. Page 29. There's just a little change in language about elementary, middle school grading, and maybe that was just what represents no evidence, not lacking of evidence, to match what we're doing. Page 30, updated language about progress reports. All parents can request progress reports to get them automatic through Power School. Teacher, make sure they're.
So we don't send any Power School it is.
Well, Power School
they could,
send it
let's say
itself.
ask.
You sign up.
That's true.
Right.
I forgot about that.
You sign up for automatic updates. They just send them every Friday or whatever you want.
and we will provide a written copy if, sometimes parents like to have the hard copies.
Page 31 is just language cleanup, as you can see. Just making it more smooth with the way we say fourth quarter or marking period. Page 32, this comes with all the high school credits and any changes we made for the class of, there's 26 credit hours versus 25, and it updates a little bit there. Major. It says credits must be approved by the administrator before getting credit.
We don't, just a little side note, we don't see really anyone that says like, hey, I took summer school at X, like BYU used to be a platform that people used. That no longer is the case, but we did add in, because as of before this will be adopted, it just has to be obtained by the high school counselor, and we felt that they should not have the final say, and so we just wanted to also say that if someone wanted to seek something else outside of our credit recovery platform, that they would just obviously have to have administrator approval too. And that just helps with the vetting process, because a lot of times you might have companies that say, hey, this is a Michigan high school credit, pay me $100, and then push comes to shove, it actually isn't. So that's also really to protect the families as well.
Page 33 just updates the credit requirements. You see science changing into earth science. You'll see the changes that match our credit our graduation requirements. And then Andrea's going to explain you seem like it's a lot of change, but really it's our community service requirement.
Yeah, so this was all there in the course catalog, but it wasn't all there in the handbook. And so the only piece of this that we have suggested adding is bullet, let me, I'm like, which bullet? Oh, the fourth bullet down, where it says log sheets must be turned, yes, log sheets must be turned in no later than the last day of the quarter in which the activity took place. One of the things that we're coming into is that we have students that randomly on April 30th show up with 40 hours and they talk about things that they had done the summer of their freshman year. Well, if we want to have legitimacy to this, and this is something that is important to me. Anything that we're going to do, I want to do it with fidelity. But obviously, like, this also was not something I could tackle, like, my first year here. So this finally, I feel like we're getting to the point where, like, really trying to tighten this up and clean it up so the experiences for our students are legitimate. They're serving the community. And so that piece of not having a deadline or a due date was something that we thought was really important. And not only does it help our individual that oversees that, Ms. Honnold here at the Media Center, but it also allows us to say, like, well, wait a second, did you actually do that? Like, what did you do? When did you do it? It adds to that responsibility piece. And so we really just felt like adding that kind of deadline in there was important. Now, obviously, if someone was out on an extended absence or, you know, something, we have that ability as always with things. But turning something in 3.5 years later, the day before it's due, I had some questions about that, but it was signed and I really couldn't contest it. So that is the only piece that really is in there. All those other bullets, if you look in the course catalog, those were already there, but it was just one of those things where it should probably live here too. So it looks like it's new, but it's really not.
I will say as a newcomer here, this is a great thing to have kids do as part of learning requirements. Very impressed by that. On that same page, we got rid of the homework policy, or not homework policy, it's just a homework statement. And I think it's implied that homework is important, and some teachers give different types of homework. So they didn't feel like that fit anymore. Yep. Page 35, language cleanup and add language about foreign exchange students wishing to graduate from Richmond. I hear maybe you have experience with that, so hence there's a new thing. But always just getting those things approved by the building administrators and counselor in the school before that student leaves there to graduate with a Richmond diploma, just making sure we're doing it the right way. So that's a good thing to have there. Page 36. One more that way, there's a little one. Right here. Middle school, under middle school, it was just adding language about more than two to for their honor roll. As you can see from there, to citizenship. Page 37. Add language about recognition coming from outside agency being approved by high school principal. That goes along with making sure that our buildings principals have a say in what outside agencies are providing awards and programs for our kids, and that we recognize those programs. And then jump into 41. 41. Language cleanup about high school dances and code of conduct enforcement. Thank you to every principal. This is very important that code of conduct remains in place for any school-sponsored event, including dances. They break a code of conduct violation, then the principal's going to hold them accountable, even at a school dance. So that's important information to have. 42. Removes language in the non-school sponsored clubs and activities. I know there's some formatting things here, we got to clean all this up, but You'll see language about extracurricular activities during the school day, participating, being present. If you have to attend school, you can add on to that.
And this is something that we started doing, I want to say it was maybe 2 years ago, where we were holding the extracurriculars, so a student that's in drama, holding them to the same attendance and academic expectations as our athletes. So the way it was previously written was it was only the sporting, students that play on a team, but it's like, well, wait a second, why does that apply to someone but not someone that does robotics or student government or the play when, you're failing classes, or you didn't come to school, but you're coming to the play practice, that type of thing. So it's something that we've been doing, I guess you would say piloting, but we just wanted to make sure that it was set in stone there. So all extracurriculars kind of fall under those same rules or umbrella.
Good. And then student employment at the bottom, you'll see that we just got rid of schools not encouraged.
I know. But that's, I know, we're like, oh, that's, archaic is a great word. I'm like, I can't even, until you read it, line by line, which I feel like we finally kind of did this time, and we're like, wait, I can't believe that was, kind of still in there, because so many kids work now.
All right, on page 44, you'll just notice a lot of formatting changes, getting rid of the word allowable. You'll see just some basic changes, nothing major there. 44. 45, you remove the virtual waiver language because it doesn't pertain.
I know, I'm right here, and you guys just keep one step back.
Yes, page 46 is removes language specific to daily attendance and allowable absences and truancy.
So what are, I just want to verify, if we took out the absences, what is the allowable absence?
So I guess I would say there isn't. We never ask, if a parent calls in and says, Joe is not going to be there today, we're not, well, why? That's for the parent, the guardian, to make that choice as to whether or not they want to send their child to school. We obviously encourage it. We have internal interventions in place. And I know last year we started, and I don't know if we're going to continue on with those robo email kind of at the end of the year that went out. And so I know at our building level, we talk attendance every Monday. We look at kids that are absent. We have different procedures and interventions in place. So there isn't necessarily an allowable versus non-allowable. We feel the parent has to choose that.
Districts a lot of districts used to have policies in place that would put students in credit recovery or credit review, and that's an illegal practice anymore. You can't. There's truancy and there's attendance, and then there's learning and grades. And if kids have to miss for whatever reason, but they can still maintain their case score and do well, then you can't really hold that against them academically. So there is no limit on absences as far as
So truancy, what do you guys consider truancy? Is that?
truancy has its own 20 absences or more, have to be unexcused, there's a whole.
Yeah.
And that's through the state.
Yeah.
So that's not even school.
And I want to say, I think there's two truancy officers now in the entire Macomb County area. I know we went up to 2. So.
We had one for a while.
Yes, I know. I think they just got 2. I think it's 2. Maybe they have 3. But when you're talking about the whole county, those individuals are responsible. So we always file truancy, but that doesn't mean, and I know it's different at the younger levels, but generally with high school kids, they will generally not come out unless there's younger kids also involved. But we always make sure to document and fill out that paperwork. So.
Okay, so we're getting to there's a lot of just reformatting, and you guys can help me out if you'd like. Unfortunately, I wasn't in the room when we did this, so it's a little hard for me to. But when we get to due process rights, suspension, expulsion procedures, page 49 through 52, it's the same information, just reorganized, I believe. As you can see, we just, from our code of conduct, discipline code of conduct, what's in there all laid out here, and then you'll see a bunch of red taken out because we replaced it with the green, which lines up with our code of conduct. And that's page 49 through 52. So then on 51 to 53, remove all and replace with pages 53 through 59 in the chart. So this is our code of conduct, our discipline code of conduct, just all in one spot in a chart that they are familiar with, and it's consistent. So it goes all the way through 59. Any questions there? Informal discipline we remove because there's no such thing as that.
Yeah, so, I don't know. This really, the deans really took an active role in this of like the different, like the informal and the formal, and like there was two different, I guess, tables or two different lists, and then there was like two different sets of, I think they were called consequences, but what we really did was kind of put them all together, and then also then put, what you'll see below is kind of a menu of items of interventions that you could use to handle one of those situations. So it took out the,
Formal and informal.
Yeah.
Was very, very cumbersome, and I think it was cumbersome for parents as well, because sometimes it would appear, it would be you would think it's a formal offense, but it was really an informal offense, and vice versa. And then the consequences got very kind of wonky. And so to be able to streamline everything, an offense is an offense. It doesn't matter if it's formal or informal, because we have a list of interventions that we can use that are going to help change that behavior. At least that's what our goal is.
So that'd be kind of like if a student had an offense, you gave them a verbal, but it was a written verbal, because you had to write it down. Well, then, does that make it more egregious that you had to write it down?
Yeah. So it was just very, and that's not, it's just very difficult for that, even that communication piece between us and parents in trying to explain what all of that means. And so this, I think, is going to streamline it and make it a lot easier so that we don't have to worry about, does what happened make something more egregious than what it actually was or not. So.
And then obviously too, the consequence, or I guess I should say, the acts that fall under any sort of state law that has specific steps you have to take, that obviously we're not going to say like, oh, we're going to now, just have a conversation. But one of the things too that we thought was important was also streamlining it across that K-12. And not only that, but then allowing the administrator to take age into account, because we are required to take age into account. And there's other things that we have to take into account. So we wanted to make sure that there was still that ability for there to be some differences between the bill. Yeah.
Discretion.
Good. Page 62 removes the language about virtual online students. They fall under, any student falls under the same code of conduct.
So on 61, where it goes over the different offense numbers, first, second, third, that's per school year, right? That's not like a cumulative, like.
Correct.
Yeah.
I didn't see it anywhere in there. I just.
Yes.
Fresh start.
Yeah.
Fresh start every year.
Yes.
Stole a yellow man.
But yes, fresh start every year, but also, again, on certain offenses, it does.
We do have to look back.
Yes, we do have to look back.
This is a pattern, or if this is
Yeah,
something that's happened before.
So depending on how egregious it was like, was there a weapon brought to school back in middle school? Well, now in high school it's
Right.
happening again.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was years ago, but
Still have to,
do we look at that?
yes, absolutely.
And that would also be part of the threat assessment too, just when you're
Yeah.
talking about safety and not just consequences, we take that whole picture into account.
Page 64 just addresses students with disabilities, but we use the same code of conduct, but obviously just following the law that students with disabilities have for suspensions and those type of things for discipline. So you'll see that we just got rid of the extra language about that. All this is, when we get to page 72, 73. Ooh, this is the big topics. Devices. one was, and you'll see later when I present the policy, you guys would to approve later this month about how our administrative team went about taking in the law about electronic communication devices, wireless communication devices, and the route we're going is outlined in this student parent handbook, which will hopefully match with our policy, board policy. So do we want to explain this, what we chose? There was two options you'll see later in policy, but these guys worked hard on coming up with, they can possess wireless devices, but then each level has how they're going to do that. So I don't know if you guys want to highlight the highlights of that, but.
Okay, we know third graders and second graders have cell phones now a lot of the times, and so it's becoming more prevalent. So what we decided upon is that they can have their cell phones, they're silenced or off, and then they're in their cubby, so they're not on their person at our level. We use our school phones if the parents need to get in touch, so that's the way we prefer for communication to happen.
We're going to actually follow what we have always done since I've been here, is just devices need to be stored, whether they are in a backpack for the fourth graders or in the lockers for fifth through eighth graders. And these are the really and truly the same interventions that we kind of already had in place. And
Even outside for recess?
oh yeah, even outside of recess. But students at the middle school are still allowed to check their devices. They can use their devices during passing time, before and after school. They just cannot have them on during instruction or have them on in person during instructional time.
And then the high school.
And then the high school will be the biggest change, I think. But I say that in the sense that I would say probably 50% of our classes were already doing this. But in regards to following along with the state law and what research does say is best for attention span, during instructional time, they must be silenced, out of sight, not utilized. They can be utilized during non-instructional time, so cafeteria, in between classes, pep assembly, all of those things, before school, after school, sports, all that stuff. But really during that bell-to-bell, that instructional time, silenced, out of sight. We're not like checking like, hey, I see the outline in your jeans or anything like that, because I know sometimes that is a thing, but like out of sight, not utilized during that instructional time. So.
And you'll see in the policy later that it does state that unless it's used for instructional purposes,
Right.
given direction by the administrator or the teacher. So there are those guidelines that they could be used if used the right way, if the instructor or the principal need them to use their phones.
So in reality, we didn't, because this law changed, we didn't really have to revamp all that much because we were already doing a lot of the things that this now law talks about.
And I would say, when I say that I think the high school will be the biggest, is because the policy before had the discrepancy between the red, yellow, and green.
Right.
Last year, really as a staff, we talked about how we didn't want to mandate anything, but we said, those classrooms really should be red zones. And like I said, I would say over 50% of them had that, but then next thing you know, you've got a yellow zone that like 3 months in turns into a green zone and things like that. So what I really think is that by just implementing this, the teachers that did it had great success with it. I think, there's just kind of sometimes the fear of like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen if I address it? But 99% of the time, there's not an issue. So I would say yes, we, even within this building, over 50%, I would say, of our classrooms are already adhering to the law. And then just talking about the consequence piece or offense piece, one of the things that we did as a group is we really felt that that should follow the same order no matter at what the building.
Yeah.
So if you look, the first, second, third, and fourth offense really is the same in all of our buildings. So as this becomes more and more, then the parents will know, going from in third grade, they didn't have the parent pick it up, so when they go to fourth grade, this isn't a new rule or a new offense. So that we wanted to make sure was all the same as well.
I was very proud of this when I read this for the first time, and then it was consistent. K-12, that was awesome. Good job. Okay, so I'm on page, let me see, 74, we just removed some of those same violations that were redundant in the code of conduct, those previous pages. And then, oops, I skipped to 80 now. We're almost there. This one eliminates the student will be marked absent after 10 minutes, and they're coded as T10, tardy in power school. So you can know the difference between a kid gets there 11 minutes later, they're there learning, but they're marked absent for an hour. I think that's what the purpose of that was. So we can track if the kid's always T10, we know we gotta talk to them. Great.
I'm a little confused by the wording on this one, maybe I'm just, students who are more than 5 minutes late will be considered absent for the instructional period. And then that's being kept, but then if the student is more than 10 minutes late to class, it will be coded as tardy.
Where does it?
So is it?
That, where it says the student is late arriving at school.
Where did you see 5 minutes?
81?
Page 81. Oh, 81.
Are we at 81?
Now we are.
Okay.
Virtual middle school students,
Oh.
paragraph underneath that.
Oh, virtual middle school.
If
It says high school.
Oh, yeah, then high school.
Each student,
It's the last two sentences.
student who,
Why is that
student who are
not-
more than 5 minutes late will be considered absent for that instructional period.
Well, and I'm wondering, why is all that underlined?
Yeah.
That's weird, like,
I think that was supposed to be
Struck
gone.
out.
yes, probably, yes, because I'm
That's
like,
supposed to be struck out, they said if a student is more than 10 minutes late to class, it will be coded as.
Oh, instead of under-
yes, I think, yeah, because that, I don't know why that whole paragraph would
That makes sense.
be,
No.
yeah, good.
Cynthia, you got that? Okay. And that is all the changes that we have made in the student parent handbook. That was the biggest one.
Thank you.
We will, yeah, thank you guys a lot, and then we will look at the ones that we have questions about, we'll investigate, and I'll get back to you before the August 24th. We'll clean these up, and then we'll be ready to go.
Thank you.
What, can I ask though, what are you guys most excited about with all these changes? You guys came together on your own for doing this, right? This wasn't something that was.
Well, we review it every year, but we really, the discipline part for me is the most, that's what I'm most excited about, because I think it's just going to be a lot clearer for everybody. And I think that dialogue that we had at that meeting was pretty impactful for all of us, so I think it was just a really successful change that I think we can, it'll be a very easy implementation.
And I think for me, like, as you go through every year, like, little things stick out to you, and you're like, oh, I need to add that, or oh, that doesn't make any sense anymore. And I think I said earlier, I never actually like went through and like read, but then that's where you catch things where it's like students are not encouraged to have a job, and it's like, wait a second, why are we putting, it just never got caught until you actually sit down and read it. And so I think just going through, and then also knowing that, like, if we continue this process every year, doing what's best for kids. And so like when you have those situations of the 79 versus the 81, at the time when that was put in, not to say that that was bad to have in here, but just knowing some of the maybe negatives of that and how we can better support kids is kind of where I always view this from. So I'm excited to have some of those changes in here.
And the discourse for me is my favorite, the conversations, because it's nice to know where the kids are going to end up. And so they're kind of always like helping me see what's coming. And so that consistency piece, it doesn't come from the paper, it comes from the conversation. And then we trickle that down to staff in our conversations with them coming back soon. So I think we're getting more consistent by the day. So that's always good for kids.
Are you telling me not all students and parents read this?
Thank you. Okay, next item on our agenda is the 26-27 Student Athletic Code of Conduct. Mr. Trent and Mr.
Yes,
Kaminsky.
I'm going to let Mr. Preston do a lot of talking here because my voice is running. Go ahead, Mr. Trent.
You're good. So we just went through 83 pages of changes on about everything. So I'm going to toss you a little softball here in the middle. So a lot of dates and years changing on this. Just a couple little changes. Years.
But you don't, I don't know.
You did your deep dive last year.
I did my deep dive a couple of years ago, yeah.
Page 3.
Yep, we kind of rewrote some of the introductions, and you're going to see a lot more of this with the coach's handbook. This was a lot of me finished starting up year 4, taking a lot of what I'd seen in those 4 years, plus my time coaching, plus the other administrators and athletic directors I talked to. So kind of bringing that all, finally felt comfortable bringing that all together and really revamping some of this. So just that first part straight through because I rewrote it. And that's where it starts down here with the yellow that's just replacing what's been struck through. And a lot of it's the same, it's just reworded a little more student and parent-esque. It reads a lot more like somebody that's going to participate on a team would get what we're trying to say here. Not gonna lie, I stole these 2 things from a speaker I saw at the athletic directors conference 2 years ago. His 2 rules he had with his team were to work hard and support your teammates. And I think we can encompass a lot of our athletic department standards within that. So, then we get into the nitty gritty. This one, letter H, goes with our academic eligibility policy. What we've done is when a kid gets a slip, so, for example, Sarah's daughter, who never gets them, but she's a sweetheart, so I can pick on her with this. So she gets a slip on a Monday, and say for some weird reason they have a cheer comp on a Monday. Instead of, oh my gosh, we've got 12 hours till the competition and change everything up, take today, participate today as normal, starting tomorrow, you're going to be ineligible until that's taken care of. That was something that was already in place when I was coaching and came into the role, and we've continued that. This, however, says if Sarah's daughter doesn't do anything about her grades that week and is ineligible again the next week, Monday's not a free day anymore. You've been ineligible from that class. You don't get a grace period day because you never rectified that grade. So that's where that comes from. Oh, sorry, no, that one's a different one. I'm sorry. This is we've got the kid that joins a sport and they're ineligible every single week. And we can see that they're struggling academically. This is where we can say after multiple weeks of being ineligible, we are going to remove you from the team. Your focus needs to be on your your academics. Next one. Yep. This is, I cringe every time I have to present this to the parents at our season meetings, but this is the NIL language from the MHSAA, or known as personal branding activities. So there's the policy there for D. Basically means if they're going to take part in any sort of activity like that, they need to meet with me. We have a form, we sit down, we review the activity, we make sure that it aligns with the MHSAA, and we have to report that to the MHSAA 7 days before the activity takes place. If they don't report it, then they run the risk of losing athletic eligibility.
So for guys that don't know much about sports, what is personal branding activity?
So this is the, say we've got a kid that is a big time athlete and a company comes and says, hey, we want to put we raise a big time football player, we want to put Ray's picture on a cereal box. And we're going to pay Ray money to use his picture on that cereal box. The MHSAA has very strict guidelines as to how your image and what things along with your image can be used. So they can't have anything that's related to Richmond High School, their involvement in any of our athletic teams, any involvement with the MHSAA, and it can't take place on any school facilities or use school equipment. So it has to be completely Ray on his own. A lot of what they're seeing with this is it's high-end recruits in big-time sports, or it's kids that have big social media followings, huge, thousands of TikTok followers. You know, this skincare line wants me to do stuff on TikTok. They need to sit, if they're an athlete, they need to come meet with me, and I need to say, yep, it's not related to your athletic involvement, it's not related to your spot on our team. We'll file that with the MHSAA, and they'll be good to go for that.
Does that include club sports also?
No, that's just an MHSAA requirement. Yep. I don't get it, but if they participate in a club sport and in one of our MHSAA sports, then they would have to report it, even if it's for something related to their club sport that they do. This one is adding to, it's an issue we've had pop up where students who are participating in other school activities, whether it be they're dual sporting or they're in, say, drama or robotics or something, when they miss practice time, this says that that may carry consequences such as changes to their playing time or their role. We don't count those absences towards removing them from the team, but they need to understand that if they're going to split their time between two, there's also consequences for when they're not there.
13 was the last page I got with changes.
This one just says if they fail to return their equipment, they're charged the replacement value. And I've been working with the high school office about just putting that right on their power school, along with like their book fees or whatnot, so that those parents get notified, hey, you owe me $75 for a jersey. So, easy peasy on that one.
Thank you.
Not so much on this one. I want to preface this next one. We kind of talked a little bit about it. Does anybody here watch Parks and Rec?
Oh, yes.
So there's the one where they make the painting and they refer to it as the camel, because they say that a camel was a horse made by committee. When I got this handbook, it was read like it was made by committee. You could tell that things had been added and all over the place. So there's a lot of changes, but there's not as much new stuff as it would appear. First page, totally blew up the introduction and wrote my own. This comes again from 40 years of the position and 8 years of coaching. A lot of it covers the same stuff, just said differently. Change the educational athletics, instead of coaching philosophy, it's hours. This is meant to read. What I want to do is give this to coaches, a new coach, and say, this is how I expect all of our programs to run. This is what I want our kids to learn. This is what things look like at different levels. So you'll see, scroll back up a little bit. The developmental focus by level, creating the right environment, training the whole athlete. A lot of those are things we covered before, but it reads a little different. Talking vertical alignment of programs. So when we talk vertical alignment of curriculum, you're talking, hey, kindergarten math looks like this. You build on it, you go to middle school, you build on it, you go to high school. Same thing here. You've got a youth program, and the expectation is the varsity coaches are involved in what's being taught there, so that when those kids go to middle school, they build on it. And then when they get to high school, they build on it, and we've created some cohesion for programs. This was a lot of what we did when I was coaching wrestling. This is a lot of what it looked like. And talking to some of the other coaches, our successful coaches, those that have been big parts of successful programs, this is similar to what they're doing.
Are they doing, so what the little kids, Preston, who are doing the Richmond piece?
Yep, so I know Scott is in, it may not be our program run here,
Right.
but a lot of them have influence over there. They meet with those coaches. So Scott, I know, is involved with Little League. Sean is big time with the hometown football. Those are the two big examples. The little kids basketball, Matt and Jeff are involved with. So trying to get that top to bottom.
Well, yeah, because you have fifth graders who are playing football with
Yep.
that, then the next year.
Yeah.
Is sixth grade to
Typically, most kids play hometown football through 6th or 7th grade and then come in to ours. Yeah, yep.
Thank you.
So, yeah, keep going. So talking about the different, what's expected at each level. The other thing it does too is it provides parents with kind of an idea when they aren't happy with what they see. This is how our programs are running. So, playing time isn't always equal at every level, and this kind of lays that out so we can point to that and say, this is why. Supporting multi-sport participation, collaboration between coaches, really trying to get to a department-first mindset. I talk a lot with our coaches that a rising tide raises all. If everybody's doing this and building good programs, then a kid comes in to join the softball team, and that kid helps out our volleyball and our basketball teams. And then again, keeping the student-athlete experience at the center of it. They only get to play these sports for a small window of time before they become a 33-year-old man who can play 2 games of softball and has to take 2 days recovering. So that one cleans up some language from the MHSAA, just their physical can be on April 15th as well as after. It actually came up last year, we had a kid get it on April 15th, we had to double check. So, team roster, just cleaning up some language there about when to get the jersey numbers or other information for those rosters. Cleaning up language with volunteer coaches. Scheduling, we have a lot of coaches that will do a lot of their own scheduling, which is great. They know a lot of what their team needs. This is just saying that the decision in contacting the other schools, the decision will always come down to the athletic director. So if we have an instance where a coach wants to play a game in a day, we say no, we can't. Cleaning up language. The tryout period, cleaning that language up. And then this one actually kind of became an issue this year because of the way Labor Day falls and how early. So sports calendars all get built based on the MHSAA and some certain holidays. And then the league also builds like our middle school schedules. And what we saw this year is because we start after Labor Day, middle school sports will actually start 3 weeks before school starts, because that's how we have to build those contests into there. I mean, this year we're playing 2 high school football games before school starts. It's just the way the dates fall. But this gives us the opportunity, if a student athlete's not able to attend all of the designated tryout, they can be considered for an alternate day. So a kid says, hey, our family already has a vacation planned for these 2 days. What we do is we take their tryout period, they start day 3, and if it's a high schooler, they go day 3, day 4, day 5. Or middle schooler, we bump it. We want to still be able to give them that opportunity, but also we work with the coaches and make sure that it's fair for the kids that were there. It's a balance act. This one, it was weird. It said, may not wear athletic clothing. Unless it's a special game, we just changed it to uniforms. We don't want the wrestlers wearing their singlets around town. But we want our football team wearing their jerseys game day or at different things. This section, I believe, was moved up to this because it flowed better, but it talks about scheduling of practice facilities. I did add the facility usage priority because this is something that always comes up when coaches want to request time outside of their season. So we put this priority list in here. There was this idea out there that if it's the fall and the winter gets the next priority, and we just kind of said teams preparing for an upcoming season. So we balance that between all of those groups, and then the youth groups. Eligibility forms, I think we moved that. Oh, hold on. We take care of those forms so the coaches don't have to do that. Rules meetings, we added an S and changed cleaned up the language. Locker room, yep. So this is, we bought the athletic department bought locks for all the lockers in the locker room, and student athletes can request a locker, or some of the coaches will assign them for their teams. So Coach Misco came and got the binder from me today and assigned his kids lockers. So if they have a lock, their stuff gets locked up, and knock on wood, it keeps the locker rooms a lot cleaner because stuff isn't spilling out. Volunteers, just saying that the head coach and the AD can work together to obtain qualified people to work those games, and coming up with ways of thanking them. Injuries, just language in there that if it's bad, call 911. Once the dust settles, then call me. And then the event linked student emergency information, we go through that process with them each preseason.
Preston, I'm sorry, would you go back to your volunteer thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Up a little more.
Are you saying that
Right there.
Someone does the books for basketball?
Yep.
That's, the coach gets that?
So
or
we
get-
work, the coach and I work together to
Together.
get them. Yep. And this is something I want to just put out in the universe for you guys to think about, is when the pay to participate was changed to the one price for the year, it eliminated the volunteer opportunities to work off the pay to participate. If we could consider bringing that part of it back, I think that would really help. It's a struggle to get volunteers. The boosters just redid how they're getting volunteers for the concession stand. Brian and I had talked in the past about what that would look like and how it would be, and I can write it up and we can work on it. It would, my thoughts with it would be very specific. It's tickets, it's clock, it's chains, it's those essential functions to keep the game running. But right now, the coaches and I work to secure those people because we need to make sure in some of those positions that they're qualified people. I can't have varsity football, I can't have anybody, I don't even want to run the clock for varsity football, but.
No, I just was, the thing was that it was the coach's responsibility.
We work together on it,
Okay.
yep. Like I have some people that do it for some of them, but I also lean on the coach, hey, can you find me, do you know a guy or a parent or somebody that can help me with this part of it?
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
where are we at? This one, I think this was just moved, because this was an existing section about if they've got a staff meeting or a conference. This will come up. I've talked to a couple of our coaches about PLCs. Don't think you're gonna, our staff member coaches, don't think you're gonna schedule a Friday practice at 1:30, because you're gonna be in your PLC, so.
Pasquale be walking around and nobody's.
He's gonna be checking
that between 1:11 and 2.
We've got some coaches that would work because they work outside of that, but yes. I took out that line about keys, like let me see your keys. I don't want maintenance staff asking our coaches for keys. If I have a question about it, I'll ask about it, so. Behavior towards game officials. This was already in here, but I added a little bit of language in it too to be a little more specific. This is something with newer coaches really working with them on it, because there is a level of working with the officials and communicating with the officials during a game. But that second sentence is kind of how I sum it up. Those interactions can occur, but they should remain positive and not detract them from coaching. If they get so caught up in yelling at the official, they're pulling away from their ability to coach. Awards. This one just is the language that says our big district year awards, the Dave Jackson Award and the Sportsmanship Scholarship Leadership Award, lays out the process for that I'll seek out nominations from coaches. I'll even put some kids in there that I feel are worthy of being voted on. I will take the votes from the coaches, but at the end of the day, that's going to get decided by me with that input. just in case there's ever any issue with how those awards are going. Varsity letters, this was something that was added. Talks about, the importance of a varsity letter. But we added these 3 criteria that a kid receiving a varsity letter should meet one of these 3 criteria. We're not trying to gatekeep kids from getting their letter, but we also want to maintain the integrity and the prestige that comes along with that. We don't want, a kid that just kind of hangs around on the roster or shows up when they want to get that letter. So looking at these, we looked at different ways. I looked at different examples of kids that were deserving of a varsity letter depending on their situation. So, a kid that's on a roster all season and they participate at that level during the season should get a letter. A kid that's participated so this is the kid that gets pulled up, or the 5th quarter kid, but they actually contribute on the varsity level. So they play JV, but they also play on the varsity, and they appear in multiple contests and make meaningful contributions. And this, the coach and I will talk about this. And the third one is the kid that comes, this kind of was our instance last year. We had this come up with softball. We had 2 players that played JV all year, came up at the end of the year and made meaningful contributions in multiple postseason games. Give them a letter. So, not trying to gatekeep anybody, but trying to keep that integrity of that award. This one we moved up here. That's just coaches seeking out that professional development from their state or national associations. We took out the language about,
Sorry,
yeah.
Do you follow up on that? How often do you follow up on that with them?
What's that?
Because I know a lot of these are just parents that are, like at the club sports, that they're getting the education to actually.
There's quite a few of our coaches that'll go to their.
Academics is first, too.
Go back up to that one.
Here?
Yes. Give me your question again, Candace. I'm sorry.
So some of the club sports where they're just the parents and they're volunteering and they're, or it's Schedule B, whatever it is, that they're, with the bowling, let's say bowling, and other things. I mean, are they, how do you know that they're getting educated to be doing that? I guess is my question. Is there a course that they have to take? Or-
So I think a lot of that comes out in our hiring process and looking at are these people qualified when we hire them. The next step is we've reached out, I've started doing more digging into each sports association and getting our coaches signed up with their association so that they get blasted with the emails. A lot of these associations, they'll send out little snippets and things throughout the year, little tips. Some of our coaches will attend the clinics or the conventions with them. So a lot of that comes out of the hiring process and making sure we're hiring qualified people for that.
But there's no requirements for that.
No, they're not required, but I tell them too with the associations, if you want to be a part of your association or make your assistant coaches part of it, the athletic department will pay for it. Because a lot of that, they have to be a member of the association to get postseason awards for certain sports. Like football, to get all state, your coach has to be a member of the association. So we make sure, yeah, we've started paying for that out of the department. This eliminated some of the restrictions around the camps. A lot of this got written in my first year when we were doing the big collaboration between the athletic and the summer school programs, and then the changes with the summer school programs. It just kind of eliminates it pigeonholed us into some things. That's up there with the physicals, the date clarification. And again, this is with the youth camps, taking out their time restrictions and just putting that it doesn't the youth camps don't interfere with our academic camps. Clinics, that was one that got moved earlier. We talked about a lot of these down here. You're going to see got moved. moved. Oh, sorry, go back up. The stipend, I think that gets covered in part of the end of the year requirements. And then all of the rest of that stayed as is, and then a little closing philosophy from me. So,
Do they sign these?
yes, is the, scroll a little bit down?
Oh, okay.
Right there. And in the past, what I did was I added that sheet to the, what I do is I put this sheet on top when we go through our things, so they sign it, rip it off, give it to me, and then they have their handbook, so.
Good work.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, next item on our agenda is the 26-27 employee handbook.
I would like to invite Ms. Patience, our new HR specialist, Ms. Annie Calderon, to help me out with this highlight as we've been working through this past month.
Just about.
Go forward. Let me pull it up. Yes. Good to go. Good?
Yeah. So most of what we did here today for the employee handbook is updating personnel with staff changes. So we started basically at the top here with our new superintendent and the vacancy that we have for the secretary to the director of student support services and educational services. Underneath that is myself. My title has changed. I'm human resources specialist now with the same extension. And then last school year, we hired Jeremy Hunt as our second lead mechanic over at transportation. So we added him in here. And then we recently had some changes with our custodial staff. So we made those updates with the help of Preston to reflect the new day custodian at the middle school.
Page 10.
Keep going down. So we added in for our contact information, human resources. It wasn't listed previously, and I think that it's important that we at least have some kind of contact information out there for who to contact with HR questions. Directly under that is the 26-27 school calendar. This is the ADA compliant version. It doesn't have all of our in-building events that you would see for like music concerts and things like that, because those need to be updated with the buildings. But it is a brief overview of the general school calendar that's posted on our website. The next section here is for equal employment opportunity. Obviously, again, we had some staffing changes, and that was reflected here with Tammy being moved up and Pasquale listed underneath of Tammy with their direct contact information. The same goes for our Title IX compliance. Again, Tammy was moved up to the top portion here, and Pasquale was listed underneath of her. And there's a bit of a jump, yep.
Wait, is that
Page
page 20?
20.
Ah, 'cause this is page 20.
Yeah, page 20 of the document, not page 20 of the
Ah,
PDF.
gotcha.
Yep.
There you go.
I've spent a little time working on this one.
Thank you for that.
Of course. So here we just had some updates. Instead of it saying director to human resources or human resources director, we updated it to reflect the correct title so other districts and that the MDE will know who is actually doing the reporting for the rep. These permissions were already granted, so there wasn't really much work other than just changing the font, what it was saying. And then same thing for the secretary to director of student support services. That title is changed. So we changed the language to include educational services at the end instead of curriculum.
Page 40 of the
Yep,
document.
page 40 and 41, yep. You're on
Whoa.
29. Yep. Okay, so marking periods, this is, again, from our breakdown of our calendar. We went through and counted out the number of school days in each semester, updated what those dates are. So you'll see September 8th, 2026, and those dates all reflect down. Tracy and I worked in Power School to make sure all of this coordinates and lines up, counted all of our days, and we are good to go.
3, last one.
Yep, and then again, same thing, human resource specialist title was changed here so it reflects accurately throughout the whole document and across the district. Same thing for the secretary to the director of student support services and educational services. The responsibilities, you'll notice, did not change. Those responsibilities stayed with each person. So as I was posting jobs previously in my previous role, that will stay with me in my new role. And then again, for our secretary, the expectations and job duties aligned and stayed the same there for the marquees. And that was all of our big changes. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Just real quick, on pages 46 and 49, it refers to the format for doing the memorandum and for the non-athletic programs. And it says to use the current list. Use the current list, but then the example has the old letterhead.
Thank you. I did not catch that. Thank you. I will update that to have the correct superintendent and then.
But didn't we get in the email that said that kind of stuff, we would see it because it was a draft? Right? Isn't that what you?
Update those.
Well, that one.
But I still appreciate it because I didn't recognize it. So I do appreciate both of your opinions here. Yes. Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, folks.
Okay, next item on our agenda is our board policy update.
Ready? Try to make this as painless as possible, but stop me if I'm going too fast. Stop me if you have a question, but hopefully you understood what was in the board packet. I'm going to start with 22 policies that were affected by the True policy update that we asked them to do. We obviously paid them to do, but there's 22 of them that they're not affected. There's no field of customization, and therefore just replace the previous versions of each policy with no editing required, other than updating the date revised at the bottom of each policy. But you see a lot of red on them because this is language that was changed per True's experience. So I'm going to go one by one. I have little notes here that I will read, but stop me if you have any questions, okay? Some of them are pretty basic, but I'll go through, starting with 2406 board officer duties. Sorry, my picture's under it now. Added new chain of command provisions to address situations where one or more board officers are absent or otherwise unable or unavailable to perform their duties. Any questions on that language or anything that I created it or anything? But good. 3108 is service animals. Updated to add definitions of service animal training and animal raiser or trainer. And then added a new section J, service animals and training. And I'm not sure, do we have service animals in Richmond?
Do not. At this point, no.
I haven't got there yet, so.
Nope.
Sure.
No, do not.
Okay, so there's language about that. 3115, non-discrimination, anti-harassment, non-retaliation. This one was, okay, this one along with 3 through 8, so all the 315s, so I'm not going to pull them all up. That's all the change was this legal authority. So you see something strict, the red, and those are, that is the same, that goes through all the 315s, B through H. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So then the next one is 3301A. 3301A is purchasing and procurement with federal funds. Update to reflect the district's ability to increase the micro purchase threshold for micro purchases, and updated to acknowledge that asbestos removal is treated differently from other services for bidding purposes. Any questions on this policy?
So what, back up just a little bit, so it's changing the threshold, scroll down just a little bit? Is that from 10,000 to?
Purchasing between the micro purchase threshold to 350,000. Just reviews bidding procedures identified in policy, whatever, what our bidding process is.
Okay,
Anything over
32,000.
yes, yeah, that's in the policy.
Thank you.
Yep. Good. Okay. 3303, gifts and donations. Okay, the yellow is what we currently have. There's some blue, but the yellow is what we currently have in our current policy, just so you know, nothing changed there. Clarify the district's ability to liquidate stock donations. So really, this is all, even though it says optional, it's not, we have this in our policy right now. But this read, the board reserves the right to take any action regarding donation permitted or required by applicable law. That was what was added or changed language, but we have all the yellow already in our policy. (3304) use of district property, updated the definition of student groups for consistency with changes to policy 5507 with extracurricular activities. We have all the yellow. It's not optional. We have that. That's why I highlighted yellow. We have that already, superintendent designee. And we already have all of this language in our policy. We have all of that in our policy already, so nothing really to choose from there or change. Except for this, the red.
I was just going to say that one red section.
That red section, it just defines that a little bit better. That was 3304. Okay, let me get to here. 3306, construction bidding. Revised to clarify that competitive bidding is required under section 1267 of the revised school code for certain improvements and services in addition to traditional school building construction. So just added this right here that by law, nothing else changed. As the dates, you can see in red, if you guys approve that in August 24th. 3402 is drills, plans, and reports. Remove section F, reporting incidents of crime, and remove the reference to repealed law from legal authority. So they just remove these two things that are not required by law to do, and then just change this right here, the legal authority. 14 of 22, we're almost there. 14 is 3410, opioid antagonist. We have this yellow already in our policy, so we have this policy, it's not optional. The board approved this before. And then there's just language change about reflecting the change in the law to permit distribution of opioid antagonists.
Ms. Bud, can I ask, who are we distributing it
May or may not overdose. This could be to students, staff, parents. It could be to anybody.
to? So we don't have an age that because don't you have to be trained in order to get it? So would we be, if a 8th grader came and asked for, would we just give it to them, or are we training them, or are we like parents?
We're not giving, it's saying that we can admit it, like we can
But when I
administer.
see distribute,
Yeah.
to me it means like give versus.
Yeah. I can't think of it, is it Narcan? Narcan,
Yeah.
Narcan where
Yeah.
you can't hurt somebody by stabbing with Narcan if they're overdosing on something, right?
I just know
I'm
there's.
thinking of the nasal.
It's the
Yeah, I
spray
was thinking
now.
about
Yeah.
that.
The distribute, I feel like that word to me means give unused.
As authorized by law, so I'm assuming there's laws about who I'm not going to be
But
handing these out.
but the reality is, we don't have a nurse.
Yeah.
And so I think, is your question, because the B there says, a district employee appropriately trained. So do we,
I
is
don't
your,
think you have to be a nurse.
no, I know, but I'm saying, we don't have a nurse, so we know it's not that.
Right.
But you asked who's giving it. So in that, employee appropriately trained. So is the question, who would be able to do it? Is that what you asked?
No, my question is, it says, the superintendent or designee may obtain and distribute. So to me, I just want to make sure, if I'm the designee, I'm not giving it to a bunch of 9th graders. because I'm distributing it, because it's not.
Yeah, you're
to me,
thinking
it's more
distribute
it,
administer.
unused.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking
So that they
distribute.
can-
Instead of
Yeah.
administering the drug.
Correct.
Okay.
It's that word distribute to
Okay.
me, which to me means distribute, right, not
But
administer.
I think the problem, though, is this is the legal authority, so I don't think
Yeah.
you can do anything about the fact that they're saying
Of that
distribute.
word.
That's what the law is saying, this
So
part,
they're
right,
putting
Pascal?
this
Am I,
word in?
Yeah,
am I
this,
correct in
these are
that?
not, this
It's
is
not
not
us.
law, like, this is the legal language that
Yeah.
you're saying you need to change in this policy to comply with
So
the
it must
law.
be a legal thing about using the word distribute.
Now,
I get what you're
consistent
saying.
with state law, I guess I got consistent with state law.
Yeah.
What is that?
Right, and then are we obviously training our staff to use it?
We train our office, our
Okay.
secretaries get trained.
Okay.
I haven't been involved yet, but we do our BTAM, and then, like our crisis teams, on how to,
Like
deal with
the
crisis.
AEDs
Yeah.
and-
Okay.
But that's how it was when for my former district, and we were trained in how to administer if we needed to.
Yeah,
The
I'm
word
more
should
okay-
say administrate.
I'm more okay with that,
Yeah.
less okay with distribute as a word, but if it's what they're saying we
Now,
have to do.
yeah, I don't
There are school districts who give out, there are school districts who do give out Narcan.
Sure.
Like, they partner with their local police departments, they give them, and then they give them out to students. Not my former district, but I've heard of school districts doing that.
Which I guess I'd be okay with if we were training the students on how to use them, parents consented to it, all that stuff. But yeah, it's that word distribute, but,
Let me find out what the state law
okay. that makes
says.
sense.
I mean, it has to come from there because this is legal
Correct.
jargon, so, for sure. What number was that? 34, 10? Why was it just taking notes on it? All right, good. 4101 is non-discrimination, 4101. Replaces Lexus number and legal authority and reporter citation for mother injustice case. So really, it's just at the bottom. Nothing changes in here except this was very long. Just this and legal authority. We can come up and change the language or anything. 64104 is employment complaint procedure for allegations implicating civil rights. So this one updated MDCR contact information and added link to portal, added, don't ask me what these stand for, EEOC ASL video number, but this is all, like, it must have been outdated information for.
EEOC is Equal Employment Opportunity Commission.
Here it is right here.
And ASL, that's like American Sign Language.
Yep.
That's what that means.
Perfect. And then added the Title IX requirement that a complaint be signed by the complainant to be considered a formal complaint, which we learned in Title IX training.
Makes sense.
Yep. Okay. We're on 18 of 22 here. Here we go. 18. So we're on 4113 is employees' rights and responsibilities. This just replaces the Lexus number and legal authority with reporter citation. So nothing. All the yellow we already have in our policy. It's just at the bottom that they update legal authority stuff here. Let's see here. 18 is 4209 is abortion referrals and assistance. This one basically states corrected legal authority. So just that little S that they crossed out is an update. But we have this already in our policy.
Would you mind going back to that real quick, please? Okay, yep.
Good. Number 19, or not 19, I'm reading my notes, sorry. 4206 or 4216 is personal communication devices. This is for employee conduct, not student. So this is not student personal devices. This updated policy title and the definition of personal communication device to align with the definition of wireless communication device in policy 5209, which we'll see in a minute. So it's just updating the language to wireless communication device. administrator supervisors. Updated to address non-renewal process in the absence of an applicable individual contract or CBA, which we have contracts, but language here to just address that. We already have this language right here in our policy. So we're good there. 4602 hiring. Clarified that the board may consider any other relevant factors as determined by the board when hiring a superintendent, which you guys just did. So, I'm sure that was in place already.
Now it comes out.
Yep. 5507 is extracurricular activities, updated to define extracurricular activities. What that, it just defines it. Change in there besides. Make sure it's all language is updated. Okay, that was 22. Any questions on those? No? Okay. So now the next 12, not all of them have significant changes, but look into my notes. These 12 policies included in this updated tables required language revisions and some optional provisions that require a decision by the board. So I'll walk through them, and not all of them are major changes, some are just updates in personnel. So I'm going to start with 2202, authority to enter into contracts. So this one added new optional section G. Okay, so this will be have to be decided by the board if we want to add this or not. That would authorize the superintendent to make purchases within budget allocations.
And why would we want to have that?
I don't know, that's.
No, it's if you want to add it.
No, I know, I'm saying, why
She's
would
saying,
we
why
want,
would we not want to have it?
Right.
right, if it's within budget allocations?
I was-
Superintendent
I
runs the
suggest
district, right?
put it in.
I don't have a problem with
So
that.
this would negate the $10,000 rule of needing approval, or?
No, well, see policy 3301 and policy 3308.
Still have to follow
Still
that.
follow that.
Okay.
It just allows,
If it's in budget,
yeah.
I can do that. I can go forward with it.
I don't have a problem.
I don't have a problem. Anybody have any other input? I don't have a problem.
Yeah, I
Okay, So
mean,
we're gonna.
you know, man, it's a budget, make a decision and
We
go
just want to
forward.
let you know we're gonna add it, or Cynthia?
We just
Oh,
told
no,
them.
no, yeah.
Okay.
And we'll put these in our final draft, we'll just have it on there for you guys to approve. Good? That was probably the easiest one. All right, 2501. 2501 is meetings. There's some more. 2501 is my next one.
Yeah.
Meetings. Added new optional section K to address the electronic communication of board members. So at the bottom of this, we already have this language, so we do Robert's rules, so that's in yellow. But the optional electronic communications is there. So this would allow, just state that board members can use email, instant messages, text messages, social media, must comply with Open Meetings Act.
During the meeting? Is that what this is?
No, just in general.
In general, like I can email you.
A quorum of the board may not use electronic communication on deliberate or not to decide matters of public policy.
We already do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In general, I don't understand why.
That's, it's optional, so we
This
can,
seems redundant.
Yeah, I don't know why we need any of that.
I would disagree.
Yeah, I mean, we're already doing that, we're already following all of that, so, and we follow it because of the Open Meetings Act. So do we want this put in or no?
I say no.
I think it's just stating the obvious.
That, I was just gonna say, it's stating the obvious. Okay,
If it
so
hasn't
we're,
been there, I don't think it needs to be there.
yeah. And like I say, we're already doing it anyway, we're following Open Meetings, so. Okay, so we are not adding this option. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. This is 2501.
2501,
2501.
new optional K language.
So I guess,
What, I don't know if it falls in with that. Okay, so a group chat, per se, within the board. So how would that group chat and a text message, how would that come to open meetings act?
So you
Like,
can't
how-
have more than 4 people in that group chat if you're going to be discussing board matters. But like if you're talking about things that aren't necessarily board matters, like, hey, I'm going to be late, or staff
Or the staff
event.
appreciation
Yeah.
thing,
That's
or,
not really
The
board.
Halloween thing out in the park.
Yeah.
That's
Like
not.
do we
committee
want to
type stuff.
participate in
Not
that?
necessarily.
Yeah, you cannot
Board.
talk.
Okay.
You can't discuss board business through text messages, phone, all of that, with a quorum of people.
Right, okay, yeah, okay. I just, it's up there, it's new, and I'm like, well, like you said, then just, yeah.
Are you good? We do all of that.
Well, it's like the 7 of us taking the student reps to dinner.
Correct.
When they
Right.
graduate, like,
Right.
we're all allowed to take them to dinner as long as we're not talking board business.
Right.
And-
We talk about what we're doing.
And talking about what we're going to vote on at the next
Yeah, the
meeting
next meeting.
while we're sitting
Right.
around the table, correct?
But it also has in there, a board member use electronic communication, to communicate with administrators. So I could text.
Well, that's why, for me, I don't know what that meant there, administrators, but I know when we have our workshop, that's what is going to share with us.
But so like if I wanted to text a high school principal directly, is that?
I don't know why anybody would want to text
Well,
a high school, no, I'm just saying, I don't know why anybody would do that. I look at that as an email, if you were sending, like, let's say when Ms. Zabel puts out that senior awards or something like that, and we're responding back and maybe we ask a question about, that's electronic communication. Or if you have a question of an administrator of something, we've always copied the superintendent and we ask it, but the text message, I don't
Yeah,
know why
I'm not
anybody would do
saying,
that. Yeah.
I see a reason, I'm just,
No.
does that include, as part of the language for that, would that open the door for? You know, that's all, I'm just.
Well, I don't think it would open the door for it, because I think we've always said as a board, here's how we're going to conduct ourselves, our business.
Well, that also does say, with administrators, contacting them only in regards to meeting availability and proposed agenda items. Not just for,
Yeah.
drinks, I don't know.
Right.
Or a complaint
Yeah,
about
right,
something,
yeah,
because that should go,
That should go too.
that goes to the
I
superintendent.
think this will be hashed out when we have our board's function, superintendent's function, how we
Yep.
communicate,
Yeah.
what's the expectation.
Yeah.
I'm okay if this stays or goes. Like I said, we already do this anyway,
Yeah.
so to me, it doesn't matter.
So we're not going to put it in. We're good with that?
I think we could.
Okay, next one.
Okay. 3102, smoking tobacco products.
I'm sorry, I hate to do it.
No.
If we could go back to that, because I saw something on there regarding social media posts.
25, what about 25-1?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, mouse. Sorry. Where?
So right underneath K, text messages and social media posts. So I guess what is,
I don't know how that would really.
that's why I'm wondering why it's in there, and what does that mean?
Almost the same thing at the same time. It doesn't work.
Oh, sure you could. You could, there could be something and a post goes out and 4 people's names are attached to it. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. But if we're not adding it anyway.
Right.
It shouldn't be.
Who cares?
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, okay, and I just happened to see it, and so it caught my eye.
Back to tobacco.
Thank you.
Tobacco. 3102, update the reflect recommendation revisions from the Michigan Department of Human Health Services. So you just see a lot of different language about what electronic nicotine, all these new things, new ways of smoking tobacco.
This is all
language.
vaping stuff, correct?
Yep.
Geared towards
Yep.
vaping?
We have to decide on.
Well, yeah, the decision at the end, we have all this already in our policy, but towards the end here, this is all, okay, right here. You'll see this twice, okay? You'll see optional or, okay, it's under, it shall not be a violation of this policy. And this would allow, like, people to use it on Saturdays and Sundays, after 6 p.m. when there's no regular school schedule. Like, it would be a disaster in my eyes, but.
I say no.
Absolutely, it would
As
be
we
a
say,
disaster.
it's,
Right.
yeah.
Like we were saying, who's going to check this? And who's monitoring it? If you're going to say, oh.
Yeah,
we're gonna
this
do
is why it's optional,
six.
because it's not,
Right.
I don't think it's
Don't
manageable.
do it.
Yeah.
Why is this even an option if school zones are supposed to be weapons and tobacco free?
Yes, exactly.
Well, probably because somewhere there's a school district or 2 or 7 or 10 that have brought it to Troon, you know what I'm saying, and talked about it, so they're thinking about doing it. So then they just put it out to all of their clients. Okay, what does everyone else think about
Well,
it? I would think.
Would that include, like, if there's a sporting event on a Saturday or something, and a parent is dipping, or has got something?
Right, and that's why I can just say, no, you don't do it ever on school grounds. Right.
It's drinking at games, right at football games.
Yeah,
It's-
no, it just becomes
it's,
too.
Yep.
Yeah, who's monitoring?
Say, it already happens, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately not, we can't monitor it. I think if we open the floodgates, it would get significantly worse. Right now, you get those few parents that try to sneak it in, and, that's unfortunate, but yeah, I see what you're just saying, no.
And I always say, I'm always focused on the students, right?
Right.
Like, making sure they're not
Yes.
using or the influence at a
Yeah.
school-sponsored event. So you guys good with not
Right.
Yep.
adding that?
Yes.
Okay. There's another one coming that's just the same thing, but that was 25. Yeah, okay. So the next one is, this one's really not a change in policy, it's just adding, moving Tammy to Title IX coordinator, moving me to the optional person behind Tammy. We'll work together on those things. Updating our Section 504 coordinator to Jamie Clausen, and adding me as a civil rights coordinator, why not? Right? So it's really just updating the personnel there, to making sure you guys are aware of that. But no changes there.
Right.
27, next one is asbestos management, favorite topic. Corrected legal authority and change in personnel. So here I just added superintendent and director of athletics facilities and school safety. So Preston and I didn't add names just because I didn't have to add names there. Wanted to make sure that was updated. So there's really no option here, so sorry that this got put in here, but there's just a change in legal authority as well. 28 for me is 4201, employee ethics and standards. Updated section B.2 to the consistent with RSC section 1814. Updated C.9 and C.13 to be consistent with, there's a lot of things here. And then added an option in C9. Okay, so that's really the option in C9. An option in C9 for prior permission of a district administrator to be consistent with C15 and C16. I think it makes sense because you want a district administrator to be in the loop with these and have communication. So
Yep.
it makes sense. This one's just a real
Yep.
basic one,
The
but
more people in the know, the more protection.
Right.
Absolutely.
yep. Good on that one. Any
Good.
questions?
Yes.
That was a simple
Good.
like add, but. The next one is 4205 AG1. This one was just change in personnel and added legal authority. So we already have all this in here, but I changed human resource specialist. We used to have director of human resources, so just updated that. And then we already have all this, we have the yellow already in our policy, so we already have that. And then they just, we have this yellow as well. And then they, sorry,
No, I don't know what the page number is. In letter C, it's highlighted in yellow, but I see Director of Human Resources, Office.
Where?
It's like CJI, above media transport.
Oh, C?
Yeah, right there.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, we just need to update that.
But it says office.
Probably just take director up out and just do human resource
Human
office.
Resource Office, yeah.
Yeah.
Cynthia, you got that? Perfect.
I don't know what.
Good catch.
Because there's no page there.
Yeah.
Sorry. Cynthia.
No, you're good. Page three, I believe. Page 3.
Yeah, 3 of the document.
Yep. And then they just changed the legal authority at the bottom. This is all, we have all this stuff, we have our police department and all that stuff. No other change, and then this one's long. And at the bottom, they just updated the legal authority. Good?
Yeah.
And then number 30, which is 4210. This is going to be similar to the one we just discussed. We're probably going to say the same thing. 4210, it updated to reflect recommendation of Michigan Department of Human Health Services for language. Includes an exception for Native communities for spiritual and medical or medicinal purposes. Added optional provisions in D4 that would allow for the use and possession of tobacco products on school premises and outdoor areas. There's the same one. So
Same
we'll
thing.
go, so
Saturdays,
down here,
Sundays, weekends.
down here is the same thing that you guys just said, no way, Jose. That would be optional to say that we're going to allow it on a certain time.
No way, Jose again.
No, right, Jose.
So
Are we good?
30 is a no for
We
the
got
option.
that, guys?
Yep.
Okay. I thought that's just being consistent too.
Okay, the big one that we talked about earlier is student use of wireless communication devices. So it's option 1 or 2. I'm recommending option 1, that would go with our student handbook that we just discussed earlier, that students are permitted to use wireless communication devices at school except during instructional time. And then it outlines all the different, medically necessary per their IEP or 504, if designated by instructional purpose by a district teacher or administrator. So it outlines the law that was passed, and it would match our student handbook.
That works for
So
me.
1?
If that's what he's
Yeah, I'll go with
recommending,
that.
yes. Yep.
Okay.
Good.
So
You guys good?
1 on
Yep.
that one, number 1.
Yep.
Thank you.
Perfect. They did good work with that, I think.
I agree.
It's practical. 5710, student suicide prevention. We have this policy. It is not, we have it, and all the yellow is what we have in our current policy, and they obviously took this out. Let me explain this. So what they did is I added Jamie Clausen as the person here for now, the person that kind of oversees that. But they, at the bottom, took out the student identification cards. We do that with our students, and you're going to see in policy 5710 is a new policy that I would ask us to adopt, that would say that on our identification cards, we want to have the crisis information, the hotline, all those type of things. So that is what is on there.
So do we want to add the option here?
No, because of the
It'll be in
next
the
policy.
Yeah. We already have all the yellow already, but, so it's just taking out the student identification cards there,
Got it, putting it in the next.
and then I'll show you the next one. This would be a new student health and safety, student identification cards policy. And to me, it's a no-brainer, I think it's good practice, and I think we already do that.
Yep. Everybody good with that? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's those two, 5710 and 5710A. And last but not least, threat assessment and response. So this one's updated to reflect the new law requiring schools to establish a BTAM teams by October 1st, 2026. You guys did good work with that. Preston leads that work with our building teams. So basically, it's just taking out all the language about making one person the threat assessment person. It's our BTAM team. It's a great thing. It's something we went through last year as well with and it gets the whole system The yellow one, yeah, so we'll get rid of that because we don't want to list that. And we're going to add all this language, the red language. Yep.
Any other questions on our board?
I actually do.
Okay.
I'm going to ask that we go backwards to, sorry, it was the very first one we did.
Give me a number.
The original 2406, board officers duties, was the first one we did.
Yeah.
So, just my thoughts on this after So, under the treasurer, there is some language that says the treasurer may delegate duties, treasurer duties, to the person acting as the district's business official. Okay, so I like all that, but under the president doesn't have any similar verbiage to be able to delegate their duties to just anybody. There's language that would say if you were unable or not there, but it doesn't specify duties.
Well, the delegating of duties, the treasurer, that's because the board treasurer is not the business office person, all that. The delegation of duties for the board president, what are you asking? The board president runs the
Right.
meeting, so what's the delegation that you think?
There's no language in here that they may delegate their duties
Like
to
an example,
whomever.
like, let me
Of
give an
course they
example. Like at graduation, I delegated.
It goes to people who work for the district, correct?
Who would give?
Yeah, what is
Okay,
duties
well, for
other than,
instance-
Well, no, let me.
other than running
Yeah,
the
Like,
meeting?
I was gonna do that, so at graduation, I delegated it for someone to speak instead of me speaking.
Right.
Even though I was still there.
Because it
Does
does
that
say
need
speak
to
as
be in
the,
there?
for the board, she speaks as the board, but there's nothing in here that gives her that right as
To do
of right
that.
now to delegate those duties.
It says serve as the board spokesperson.
But that is
Person
not,
designated.
that giving the person the duties, which was me, that's not the
That's
board
just-
president's duties. That just happens, that's what the board president does. That's not the board. Anybody on this board who wanted to do that is able to do it. It's not board president's duties to accept the classic graduation, like when you
That
had
was
your
just an
questions about
example,
that. That's,
Margaret. That was just an
no,
example.
I'm just saying
It
that.
was a good example. I
That,
like
but,
it.
okay, it's a good
Just
example, but
because
it's not, let me
you're speaking
finish.
on behalf of the
It's
board.
not, no, you're not speaking on behalf of the board.
When
You
you
are,
are accepting,
Yeah, you are.
yeah, okay, but what I'm saying is, it's not the board president's duty. It's nothing in there that that's their duties. The board president has accepted the class over the years, but
It's just
other
that-
board members over the years have done it. They just ask to
So what
do
are
it.
the duties? And I think if you
You-
look in our.
duties are you
our
run the
duties
board
are
meeting.
listed. They are listed for each of our positions. So to me, those would be what our duties are.
And the board president is the board spokesperson. That's the board president's duties. That duty would never get delegated to anybody else because we speak as one and the board president speaks on behalf of the board. If the board president, I guess, would be in another country or whatever, can't do it, then it would be the vice president. But those specific little duties, if you will, those are specific to the board president.
The ones that are listed in.
yeah,
here.
there's not.
So I guess
There are
a simple
actually-
thing with accepting the classic graduation is really simple of, if anybody's interested in doing it, you ask, you just
I mean,
ask.
she replies to emails, I don't know, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just saying in general, there's nothing here that is a general thing. If she's out or
It
whatever,
goes to
whoever,
the
each
VP.
at the time,
It goes to
there's
the
nothing.
Goes
Yeah.
to the VP.
I do remember at some point in the last couple months, we had everything going on with, Brian leaving and some contract stuff, and then the superintendent surge and everything that was going on, as well, and there was a lot going on. And I do remember at one point Deb had a lot on her plate, and I remember.
And I asked.
Yeah, and I remember Marty and I talking, and it was kind of like, if Deb needs help, she could or should delegate to
Yes.
somebody else.
that could be a situation if we've got a lot of things going on, the board president, if it's a function that typically they would do.
Yeah, but
they can't do it for life reasons.
Sure, but the thing with that is, the superintendent search isn't that good of a.
Well, it was just that whole
I know,
time
because
where
that's
she's
the
still
board
in
president's responsibility.
But what if she can't do it? What if she's in the hospital? That's
Well,
what
then
I think
he
that's-
does it.
Then it goes to the vice president.
So every board president duty goes to the vice president. That should just be the blanket statement then. Every board.
It does say
Okay,
that.
That's what it
then
says.
that's-
Yeah,
we'll leave it.
it does say
But
that.
it says only if they're not, the way that I read it was
If she's not available to do it.
If she's not available to run a meeting, or he or she not available to run a meeting,
Or set
or
an agenda.
if we have
Or set an
another,
agenda,
God forbid,
yes,
superintendent
right.
search, and they can't run and do the stuff they do, then the vice president has to do it.
I think I can kind of see what you're saying,
Yeah.
like, if there's such an overwhelming,
Right. I'm
a
not
lot of
asking
things
for
going on
specifics.
to.
I'm asking for a blank type, thing like this, that just says that she may delegate.
Specify tasks,
Correct.
but ultimately it would still fall on the president, even
Which would
if
then
she
go to the vice
requested
It doesn't have to be
assistance
vice
and
president.
delegated
It could be
something.
anybody. Like during that time, she could have asked you to do something. You know what I mean?
Well, she
Like-
did, I helped with the superintendent search.
Right.
She did, and everyone on the board said that was okay. That's not delegating her duties.
No,
She asked for
that's not a duty.
assistance because she had never done it before, and I had. Delegating her duties, there are specific things that the board president does. Delegating, if the board president's job is to run meetings, okay? But if we're talking about like the staff appreciation party, okay, when she says who's interested in doing that committee, that kind of stuff, that's not her delegating her duties, because that's not her
Correct.
duty.
No, correct.
Right. So her duty is to attend the meetings, and she's the spokesperson. And that's where the board president answers, gets emails, answers, we see them, all of that. Those are the duties. So delegating, I think you're thinking when we were doing the superintendent search, there might have been other things going on. That's a simple, a board member stepping up and saying, hey, do you want me to run the staff appreciation, and the group did it, or something like that. But there's specific duties for the president's role, they do them.
That was one of them, that I thought was the speech at the commencements.
But that's not really.
But that, it's really
It's
not,
not said in our policies that the president does it, but at the
'Cause
same
it's
time,
not.
the president does speak for the board, and when you're saying your speech, you're saying, I'm accepting for,
you're doing it on
our-
behalf
on
of
behalf of
Richmond
the
Community Schools and the Board of Education.
Yeah.
So you're not speaking for them, you're doing that. But
Accepting.
anybody can do that,
It's not
anybody.
like every year then we should be voting on who's doing the speech.
No,
We could be, though.
you could be,
We could.
or it could just be simple, like when I asked to do it, had family member. You have family member come out, you asked to do it, and board president steps aside and you do it. It's really simple. It's not, you don't have to make it such a big deal of delegating and whether the board president has the right to do that or not.
And anybody else have any other thoughts about it?
I think it's fine how it is.
Okay, I guess we'll leave it. Thank you. Anything else?
No, that was it.
Okay. Anything else on the policies? We're good? Thank you. Thank you for all the work I know you guys.
We will clean them up, put them on our letterhead, and have them ready for the next meeting.
Thank you. Okay, next item on our agenda is our 2026 NISB Annual Leadership Conference. Before we discuss this, I just want to give everybody a little background information. First, Raymond asked me to put this on the agenda because we want to talk about the money piece. Past practice is that the district has always paid for the whole thing, rooming, the conference and everything to attend that event. In June, I know we all know we were a part of that, we cut that budget. so we don't have obviously as much in there. I don't know at that time where we're thinking about the fact that we are going to have 3 new board members who are going to need to take 101, CB 101. There's also the workshop, which I would highly recommend for the president. You will have a new president, obviously, in this spot, so I would recommend that. Those are, I think, additional costs, and I'm not sure that we were thinking about that in June.
We did.
Yes, we did.
Okay,
We
okay.
absolutely did.
Okay,
Are these reimbursed though, like the 101?
well, let me explain, let me finish, please. I'm gonna get there. We don't get all the reimbursement. I know, Tammy, in the past, we have, but it's $100 off of each one of them.
But it just covers the registration, it doesn't include any traffic, which is usually more than the registration.
Right. Well, like all the CBAs right now are 150. The president one's like 300 and something. I don't believe that one is reimbursable. Tammy's telling me no, and if I remember. What it is they don't reimburse every CBA, only certain ones. So we got to kind of look at that piece. Let me see here. I think we have some options. I do believe education's important. I believe as a board, education's important. We could, for example, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other accounts that have money in it. Would we be willing to move some of that up into that account so that we can cover it, because it is short right now? Obviously, you had a spreadsheet in your packet. Open for discussion. I think it's important. I mean, and we could cut down, like Ray, when I set up the budget, we figured 7 CBA classes. I don't know if he's going to take 7 during that time.
So in the conference, I'm looking in there, and I believe there's 5 that I would like to take. I think there's 2 that they offer on Thursday, and then 1 Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'd be interested in attending all that I can, because I think continuing the education in regards to being a more productive board member, more knowledge and information we have, the more productive we are as a board, the more productive we are as a board, the more productive we'll be as a district. And then continuing that education. And some of those courses are correct. I did see on the site that they do offer the reimbursement. There's a flat rate for the registration of $550 if you do it prior to August 21st. That also includes additional seminars in the morning, which I wouldn't be able to take 4 days off of work per se. So I may miss the seminars, but the key piece that I'm looking at is if we pay that flat rate and I can still attend those courses, then that's where I guess we make the money on that.
But the courses are additional.
Oh, that's in addition to, okay.
All that is attending the conference.
Okay, so
Each course is
then.
a different, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so then just the registration for some of those courses, if we can afford that. And I wouldn't be interested in hotel if I could get some sort of reimbursement for driving mileage. But I'm not sure what the mileage rate is.
It's the same as one.
It's going to be fixed, that's my message.
Okay, it'd probably still be cheaper than a hotel room, I would think.
We have to do some math.
It's on the spreadsheet. Here's, I don't.
We've already talked, I
Are
don't
you done?
understand.
I
guess
don't either.
I'm
I just,
confused because.
wait first. I was asking him if he was done speaking.
Okay,
I don't
I'm
want to
sorry.
say my piece till he's
All
done
right.
speaking.
All right.
No, that was my part, and
Okay.
and before, I want to see the best range, to get the most education without trying to zap all the resources. We did reduce it down to 2,500, and we are going to have new board members coming in. There is going to be a new president, and so if we can move some money around to facilitate this, I think it would be very key and important to do so. And I open it up.
Okay. We did talk about we kept money for the 101 classes because we knew we had board members. We discussed the board president. So that was all part of our budget meeting, okay? So, and we haven't always paid for going to conferences, Deb, just so you know.
Since I've been on the board.
But we can't say we've always done it because it's not true, because I went many times and paid myself. But to me, the key here is we discussed it. We're all very aware of the education things that board members need to do. But the bottom line for me is we eliminated a curriculum director. We cut our HR director in half. We eliminated the one secretarial position, all that kind of stuff coming into a year where it's money, where we left money for the 101 classes and all that to sit here and have a discussion because people want to go to that conference and talk about pulling money from other accounts. To me, it's insulting to the people who we let go and for the budget that we put together. For this year, this is the way it is. If you want to go to the conference, you want to do this, you figure out how to pay for it on your own, what money is in there left from whatever the the CBA 101 classes, all of that, and then you worry about next year when it comes time for budget on where we're at. I just think sitting here August 10th, we haven't even started school, we haven't even started the year without a curriculum director, all that kind of stuff. I just think, as board members, I think it's not right. So I just think if you want to go to the conference, go to the conference. You pay for what you can yourself for the classes you can take. But we should not be talking about pulling money from different areas, because the reality is, Deb, with that, the different areas, who knows different things that come along. We have the staff appreciation, all the different stuff that's going to come. I just think we ride the wave of the decision that we made in our budget. That's it.
So I'm just going to quickly say.
I am done.
I'm just going to quickly say that I also have a really hard time with it when we let people go. We sat around a table and discussed this already. We went through it and we all agreed on it, and then now we're changing our mind. And I'm not comfortable with that when, like I said, we let people go. And we cut things, and we already cut from these other accounts that you're saying we could take from. We already cut from the appreciation account. We already cut from those accounts during that meeting. And I feel like this is the least impact on our students, and I feel like it's our responsibility to show that we also are willing to do that.
So in terms of least impact, I think the least impact is to have a knowledgeable board member sitting up here and making decisions, so I just highly disagree with that. I'm not sure if everyone received my email that I emailed to, I went on the MASB. I did apply for a grant for myself personally that could give up to 50% off of my conference application registration fee. So that would, because I'm only going on Friday, so that would cut, if I get it down from 300 to 150 for that conference. And Ray can apply for it as well. I did send you the email, so.
Yeah, no, I certainly will,
Yeah.
of course.
The only hang up with that one is, and I don't know, but I had to fill out the form, and it did say, it asked how much is our projected fund balance for next year total that's sitting in there. So I don't know if having over 3 million in there is going to get me half off when there's real boards out there that have nothing. They don't have anything in their fund balance. So I'm not sure what that's going to do for me, but that would give me up to 50% off of that. I'm not planning on taking any CBA courses. I'm just attending for Thursday night because of the delegate. And, but I did want a hotel for Thursday night to stay until Friday and do the conference on Friday. So I know when we discussed the budget and cutting it back, we didn't really like put, hey, Candace, we're gonna not pay for your hotel, or Candace, we're gonna, like, nobody really did that.
Yeah, we did.
No,
Yes, we did have that conversation.
We
We
said
most certainly did.
$2,500, and nothing was said about we're not gonna pay the hotel, or we're not gonna pay the registration. It wasn't an allocated personal amount to me or Ray and the CBA 101 is a covered one.
Yes,
You
it is.
absolutely do get paid back for that one.
But again,
So-
101 you do,
Yes,
absolutely.
and that's
we
the
do.
ones that the three new
as
members.
Right.
long as that money is still there, there's the
That's
issue.
a state thing.
No, if the state does, they only put so much money aside. You have to apply right away.
So everybody applies, and then whatever they have,
They give it.
It means everybody, but the reality is, Candace, you can't apply for CBA 101 money until the people
Actually are taking it.
no, until they are actually sworn into office and a board member.
Right.
So that means everyone that has new board members will be doing that in
Yes.
January. So you do it, if January 1 is when they actually are good, but whatever you decide, the organizational meeting, whatever day, let's say it's January 5th, then January 6th, we need to put in for that reimbursement.
I mean, when I go to these, they act like the CPA course money's there. You guys, it's through the state, it's been approved again. It's on the fence all the time if the state's gonna approve it or not for the next year. That's how they sell it, so I'm not sure.
Yeah,
You're
just-
saying we don't get paid for some of them, I'm not sure what.
we've been getting paid for
Because
what
we've
we've
been
been
doing
doing, not
our paperwork.
everybody gets the money,
Correct.
because they run out.
There's only so much in the pot. Ray made a couple suggestions here that I was not aware of too much. Ray talked about maybe we could, you said take the hotel off. Maybe we can take a look at what we do have left in that pot, and I can work with Cynthia, and I've been working on that, to see if we can get you enough, Ray, to get some, the conference paid or the,
Yeah, I'll take a deeper dive into it and to kind of trim it some more, just, and
see
then
what we can.
see what I can come up with a total of what a projected cost was.
Okay.
You know, because I don't, if it saves money on a hotel, I'll drive the 2 hours or whatever it is back and forth to Lansing every day, that's fine. I'll eat it. I'm just looking, here's a great opportunity for me to advance.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's important as a board member and for the district to be better educated on my position.
I think, can I talk to you?
Sure, yes.
So I do remember, obviously, the budget meeting, everything Margaret said, I completely remember as well. We did acknowledge that 101 was important for new members. We acknowledged we should have 3 coming on. We acknowledged that the board president, that one is important. I do remember being on the board last time, it was not paid for except 101. I remember being the new president that year and not getting that paid for, and that was tough. It probably could have been a better board president having taken that. So I remember at the budget meeting specifically advocating for that, knowing that we may have a new president next year. So we definitely accounted for that. I do agree with Margaret. I don't feel right about going back on what we said. When we made so many cuts in so many areas, it affected so many real people here. I feel bad about saying, you know, we're going to chip in too, we're going to cut what we're taking from the district, and then they lose their jobs, things get switched around, and now it's not that bad, we're going to take money. Coming from somebody who does this at work and doing budgets with hotels and travel 76 cents a mile to Lansing to and from, and a hotel room, though that is going to significantly add to the cost of this conference. I feel like before we make any decisions, we need to have a real, first of all, I don't want to go back on it. I think what we agreed in June is what we should do. I think if we want to revise it next year, we look at it next year, but I do think having some consistency
The public needs to know that we are going to stick with what we say. We agreed to it in June. That's the transparency part. I don't want anybody getting the impression that we are going to make decisions when it's convenient, and then 2 months later, we're undoing decisions. I don't think that creates a lot of trust in the community. I think we made those decisions for a reason, and I think we need to stick to them. If the majority of the board disagrees with me and they want to revise this, I think we need a lot more time and planning, and I don't know that it would be done by the time that you have to, because I would need to know how much is in the budget, how much is a hotel, how much is travel.
In your packet already.
But for everybody, because we're
We're
not
not
going
going above,
above,
it's not going above the 2,500.
including all the new people that we're going to have. But what if I wanted to attend now? What if Deb wants to attend? What if Danielle
What if
wants to
Danielle
attend?
wants to attend?
I mean, I think with the one thing we did talk about that we didn't really go in depth on, an idea that we had at the budget meeting was giving everybody an allowance. So every board member would have an allowance. You might get 250 or you might get, and it was taking that 2,500 and splitting it up. And I don't know that we've done that. Have we looked at that? I just don't know that this is the time to be going back on what we say. Everything we've talked about the last few months with the bond and the bond not passing is transparency, consistency, and building trust with the community. How are we 2 months later going back on what we sat there and said we were going to do?
I don't think anyone's suggesting doing that. I'm not suggesting doing that. We're not going above 2,500. We're not going above 2,500.
You're going
Yes,
over
we
by
are.
1,600.
What? If you
You're
look
going
at-
over by 1,600. It's in the PDF that's
That
attached
was,
to the back
that was
of
the whole point
presentation.
of the presentation we just had.
For mine, I'm looking at maybe $500.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
the stuff that, but the presentations we're going over. That's what the question tonight,
Yes,
if I,
that's
correct me if
what
I'm
we went
wrong,
over.
is whether we want to go over and take money from somewhere else. I'm saying
I'm
no.
not suggesting that at this point.
Well, that's where we're at.
Well, that's where we're at. That's what the
we're talking about.
conversation is.
Because what I did is in your packet, Cindy and I worked at a thing where we put all the expenses in for Ray to go, housing, whatever, for you to go, and everything else. It goes over, it's over by what, about 1,600, I think.
But you did take into consideration, she may decide she wants to go. She
Well,
may
no one
decide.
has spoke up.
But there's still time to speak up is what I'm saying. Yeah, there is.
Well, I know, there is, but
Absolutely
the
there
point
is.
is, we're trying to meet that, August 21st deadline, so that, because you can get a reduced rate if you do.
Correct.
You can register to whatever you want.
Even if we decided that there was enough in the budget to pay for the conference, I
Yeah.
still don't know that travel and hotel room needs to be a covered district expense. I feel like that the district could offset and encourage a board member to go maybe by paying for the course fee, but I don't know that hotel and travel needs to be included. I think if somebody really wants to, when I went to 101, it was, I think it was like week 1, I got appointed and it was like, hey, you're going to Traverse City in like 2 weeks or whatever. And I paid for my own hotel room. It wasn't even an option to have the hotel room paid for. It was just, hey, you got to go to this, it's in Traverse City, take time off work and pay for your hotel and your travel. And I take it virtually now. And I just did it. And I how I took it. And I understand.
You took 101 virtually?
I did.
I did
Or
too.
no, I did take it at the one conference.
Yeah, I did
take
too.
it. And
Oh,
I
yours
understand
was
that
during
not everybody
2020.
has that flexibility financially, and I do want to be sensitive to that. I just feel like it's, again, we decided something in June, and here we are 2 months later backtracking, and I just feel like it sends a bad message, because who's to say we couldn't do that with everything that we cut?
Correct.
But we may.
But we shouldn't.
So,
We shouldn't.
We shouldn't.
so in regards to mileage, I was unaware of 76 cents a mile. That is a lot. And I'd be willing to eat that for every day that I would be able to attend the meeting. That, I'm okay with that. So,
Well, then
what,
let's go back and so going back to my suggestion, let's go back and relook at what can we do with what do we have left on our budget? Yeah, with whatever, and let's see if we can make it work.
yeah, if we can backward plan from what we know is going to be needed,
Yeah.
and then to see what's left after that, and then that will let us know.
But we aren't going over.
No, we're not gonna go over.
Right, yeah, we'll just
We'll
backward
stay with
plan.
that. There was money in there, but it wasn't enough to do everything.
Right, because that's what we decided in June, Deb. That's why that dollar
I never
figure is
asked
there.
for mileage,
One
ever.
suggestion I got.
I didn't either.
One suggestion I need to make though is, obviously, we would all like to assume that every board member is going to stay for their entire term. We all know that that doesn't always happen. I do think we shouldn't take that account down to zero, because if something happens at any point in time with any board member,
We got
and
new-
and we still need to do a.
Because you have a new one that you're gonna
Exactly.
appoint that's gonna,
I think
because
that's just
is it
responsible.
our policy?
It is our policy.
It is
You have to
mandatory
take-
to do
take
101, so that,
I think we have to have a little cushion in
You
case
should-
one or two board members, for whatever their
at least
personal
3
needs
board,
are,
yes, I agree.
have to read,
Yep.
like we have to send someone else to
I
vote.
have a couple notes that I wrote down,
Yeah.
but I hate to interrupt people.
No.
There was too many of you.
She's the only one.
So,
Yes.
I just don't like confrontation. So anyways, I wrote down 5 different things. One, as we were just talking initially, do you even need, like for Ray was saying, I don't really want to take time off of work to do all 4 days. If he wants to take CBA classes, does he still have to pay the $550, or can he just pay the CBA classes and not necessarily attend the conference portion of it because he's not? That was just one question I had.
Let me give you an answer to that real quick. We have to pay one portion of it because he's part of our delegate assembly, and he's got to go to that. So maybe we have to pay 1 day. I don't know about the courses though, and that, again, will be something we can look into.
And then I had written down, like, I know Candace, you have done CBAs in the past
Yeah.
and things like that. Were those things that you were reimbursed for, or did you just pay for them out of pocket, or was that from our
I was
budget?
approved, and then they were able to
We
got reimbursed.
get reimbursed
Yeah.
for them.
We got reimbursed, and then the district paid them, because the class is $150, they reimburse only $100. The district. So the district paid the fifth.
Right, I was just curious. But those are things I wrote down initially, and then after hearing the discussions from everybody, I completely agree. Like, we're borrowing week 1 for money, and there's still 40 weeks left in the school year. So if we're doing it week 1, for lack of a better word, where the hell are we going to be, week 40? Like, that makes 0 sense. And looking at, for example, just Ray's, because Candace's is just really the 1 day, but Ray specifically, just to take those CBA courses, that's 32% of our $2,500 budget that I feel like, don't take this the wrong way, but I feel like it's great to be an educated board member, but it's also great to be fiscally responsible. And to me, that's just greedy that you're wanting 32% of the yearly budget to take some CBA classes when, I'm just looking at this sheet here, you're on the board until 2030. So if we're in a budget crisis right now, we have,
Not a crisis.
not crisis, that's what I mean, I don't know what the word is.
Crunch.
Crunch, yes. We're watching our numbers, right?
Yes.
We're being tight with our money, which is good, but we have 4 years that those classes, 4 other years that those classes could be taken. But that's, actually, that's kind of a low ball. It's like 35% of the $2,500 budget being spent on one person for those 7 classes. And yeah, you mentioned getting it down to 5, but still, even 5 is ridiculously huge. I just don't know that that's being
again-
responsible, and it's kind of, we're dumping all of our money into 2 board members when there's 7 of us on the board, and that
So you
just
guys
seems
have to remember,
silly.
too, that we were voted to go to the delegate assembly and present Richmond Community Schools.
Sure, but that has
So
nothing
that's
to do
Thursday
with,
night. I mean, so that's,
but we also discussed, like was mentioned before, that when we talked about the budget, it was, okay, we're gonna cut our board budget down to 2,500, and be advised that if you're looking to go to conferences or things like that, it's most likely that your hotel expenses or your mileage is not going to get reimbursed. Like, that was already discussed.
And the
I don't know who's paying, I mean, I know it's Lansing and there's a conference going on, so there's probably elevated, but if you're paying $186 a night for a hotel, you're at the wrong hotel. Like, drive 20 miles down the road and pick another hotel,
But-
right?
and-
But
that's actually
it's just insane.
expensive for Lansing.
I was just going to say.
And also, Candace, when you say the board voted to send you as delegates, the reality is, We had many years where we didn't send anybody for delegates. And yes, while we would like representation, but the reality is finances are such that maybe we wouldn't have representation one year. That's what we always have to keep in our head.
Okay, but that's
we
we're
cut.
going backwards now, though. It's already been approved.
I know, but your point was you approved me, but the reality is that if we had appointed you and the money was zero, you're not going. Whether we voted to appoint you or not, you'd have to go on your own. I'm just saying that could happen. It would be unfortunate because the delegate thing is it's a good thing to be part of, and it's always good to be able to have our voice there. But there could be a situation where it doesn't happen. Just saying.
Jamie, were you done?
Yeah, I
I'm
just,
sorry.
when I did the division of the number and it comes out to 35%, I just feel like that's not being fiscally responsible when we're putting 35% of 7 people's, well, essentially 10 people's budget, because we have to put 3 more on the board in January.
Right.
35% of that budget is going into one board member who still has 4 years left, and that can be taken at any time or any place, or, that type of thing, that I don't think that's right by any means.
Okay, so,
Okay. This might be a silly question, but I don't know the answer. Is this the only conference that MASB offers throughout the year, or are there others that pop up?
This is the big one.
Are there any others?
There are other, yes, but they pertain to specific things. Like I know there's something in February, and I know the president's thing is in February, and they do that just because with organizational meetings, and then if there's a new president, that's February. They do the Summer Institute, so there's that's a smaller thing, but it's like little thing, but this is their big kahuna.
now the other thing, I'm sorry, the other thing to that, Sarah, is that the CBA classes, they are offered almost all year.
And a lot of them are virtual. So
And
they
a lot of them are virtual now. So if we were to not do them, or Ray were to do as many or whatever, he could, again, we'd have to look at where the money is at that point, but you can spread them out through the year.
And I would be okay with that. I was just pitching it out there as, here's an opportunity, and looking to see if I could capitalize it, certainly. And again, no offense taken, I'm certainly not trying to zap all our resources. I just saw an opportunity. Hey, here's what we can do, potentially. Bring it to discussion. We'll talk about it, have some dialogue. And if I scale back on what I do, then that's okay. I'm just throwing it out there.
So I think we've come to agree, we're not going
to go
extra.
over the budget, we're not going to pull any money. We'll work with Cynthia because she's been putting a lot of this together. Ray will take a look at what can we get, this is what we have left in there. How do we make it work and get you at least the best bang? And you guys, I'm hearing that we're going to leave a little extra money in there just in case.
I was gonna say, do we still have to come back and vote though on how much we're leaving, how much we're allocating?
And the thing about leaving the money,
Like $500 if we left that. See,
So Cynthia, you can take my mileage out of there. I've never asked for mileage or food money or anything like that. And we'll see if, they said that I would know within the next week about
you
my
got your-
50% off, so.
yeah, probably by the 21st date, I would bet, right?
I guess I'm just.
No, I'm saying, so then you would be able to get the early bird.
I guess
Yeah,
I'm just.
and I'll be, sorry. Yeah, I'll be submitting the same request for the discount and to see if I can do it too. Absolutely.
So we don't have to go back to doesn't have to come back. But then I guess I'm wondering, how do we know what precedent we're setting? Because we're setting a precedent right now.
No.
I don't think we are.
If Deb,
No.
okay, I'm just throwing it out there, if Deb works with Cynthia to go through numbers, figure out what we're gonna have left, and she figures out what they're paying for, and we don't know about it, we didn't approve it, how is that not?
You've never approved it.
No, here, we,
You approved that amount.
that's not
That's
true.
what I mean, how do
We
know
approve
we're
the,
approving?
You approved.
what I think is, you can't now talk about we're gonna leave some
Money there?
money there for, because I think that should be
voted on?
Well, we could vote and
To
do
me,
it.
it
I mean, we
feels-
could vote and do that tonight, but I'm just saying, when we, at the budget meeting, the things that we talked about are the things we're going to do. So it was 3 new board members, 101, the president workshop.
President.
However much those cost, that's what's left. We have 2 board members that want to attend the conference. So whatever is left, that's what they can use. But if we want to say that now we want to leave $300 or whatever, I would think let's add that as an action item to do that.
Well, what happens if someone wants to go to something in the summer?
Well,
It's just first come, first
The
served?
Summer
There's
Institute's
no
done.
money.
That's done right now,
Okay,
next
here's a
year.
winter one.
There's a winter one, there's no money then.
But,
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
do
you
we-
guys have just said here that we are cutting and we're gonna make our cut.
We're not
follow
cutting, we
through.
already cut. We're
Right.
staying
Yes.
within
We're
what
staying
we
within
said
our
we were
budget.
going to do.
no hotels and no travel, we're committed to that.
I'm okay with that.
Then all I would be taking is $150 if we took the hotel out. I guess, yeah,
And I have to pay for
You're right, it's going to the conference. That's the early bird, Cynthia, correct?
Yeah.
Getting for the conference. It's
Yeah.
this price, if you do it by August 21st, it's this price after.
Yeah.
We have always committed to, and what we talked at that budget, you're right, is being able to attend. CBA 101, however much it is. The President's Workshop, however much it is. The conference, however much it is. So to get them registered by August 21st, whatever the price is, that's what they get. The extra CBA classes, you're on your own.
Well, but if
Because
there's
this is
money-
the amount.
But if there's money there.
Yeah, if there's money, yes, you
Then we
can,
can
you can take that, you
But
can
only
take that
The
class.
district is the only one that can get the reimbursement.
Correct.
I couldn't take it, I already asked that, and get reimbursed. The district has to file for it.
For what?
State
We always do
reimbursement.
that. We would do that. Tammy would do that.
Okay, so then do we put a up to and no more than limit on?
No, the limit's already there, Ray, it's
No, no, no,
$2,500.
no, hang on, slow down, slow down. What I'm just saying, for the classes that we're gonna register for and the assemblies, whatever, because initially I wanted to attend all, if possible, right? But if we set a limit saying, okay, well, we set the limit at this for us going to this thing, saying, all right, well, you can take as much as you can that reaches this much. And then if it's within that, then yeah, feel free. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, but I still think it has to go back to, we talked about attending the conference, the cost for it, and then we just keep saying the same thing over and over. So if the price of the conference is how much, Cynthia?
The conference is $550 for the entire
$550
conference.
for the entire
If you
weekend.
register prior to the.
And
then-
Okay.
take all 3 days.
So you get registered for the conference.
Well, and Ray may not choose not to do that now. If he's driving back and forth, he may only do 1 day or 2 days.
Because there's a
or-
one-day option too.
Yeah.
But the one-day option is only
Friday.
no, I thought Saturday.
We could do a Friday or a
and-
Saturday.
and-
Friday or
and-
Saturday,
and
okay.
The one-day option is $320.
Okay.
I think.
After,
300
if
if
you
you
pay, yeah.
There are
Can we
many
agree that
things
we
to
can
do at
just
that conference,
work it out?
class-wise, education-wise, that cost nothing.
Yeah, there is,
Look,
you're right.
I know there is, because I've been many times. So there are many educational things you can get in that conference, guys, that are not the CBA classes. The different speakers, there's so many things you can do just by being paid for the conference. Lots of educational things and stuff you can bring back. The CBA classes, to me, are just a completely different thing. You want to take those, that's not what we talked about the conference. But
But in the past,
we just
past
keep,
practice, I'm going to correct this, in past practice is some of us have taken the conference and taken CBA
yes,
classes.
Deb,
and
but
they
now
were
we
paid.
are, the budget is such, past
No, but I'm
practice.
just saying, if
I
we
know,
have the
but-
money there.
But we don't.
We do,
To take
if
all
we do
the-
some cuts and things. There might be money still in that $2,500 for Ray to take a class or two, and we can pay for it.
Yeah, and still get reimbursed.
That's why I'm saying, can we just say that we're going to stay within the budget? and we will figure it out.
I
There
think
is
that,
also a
I think
tutor-
that's the whole point we made at the budget hearing and why we're talking about it again
Well, I'm
tonight
just
blows
saying,
my mind.
Can we do that now? Are we good on that? We stay within the budget.
I voted yes before and I'll vote yes again.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I said it 3 months ago.
Okay. Are we good?
I'd like to see money left for an extra one-on-one.
Okay, let's move on. We'll work, right, we'll work it out and see what we can get. See what we can do within the budget.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on our agenda is our Blue Devil Raves. Here we go. We're starting off with Candace.
I'd like to give a big rave to Pasquale Cusimano for being a shining star since July 1st. Everywhere I go, you're just loved and adored already so much. The personality, everything. Students, everyone, parents even. I'm hearing it all over. And thank you for your hard work in getting out in the community and getting your name out there and showing yourself. Thank you.
Okay, next one is Danielle.
I just wanted to say, I think, Pasquale, you had mentioned that Preston was kind of in charge of that night on the football field or whatever the movie
Field
night. Yeah, so thank you to Preston for setting that up and kind of getting that rolling, and hopefully that becomes, bigger and bigger each year. It always just takes a little kickoff to see what fun was had, and then others want to join in. So thank you for getting that ball rolling.
Thank you, Sarah.
Just also, Mr. Cusimano, for seamlessly kind of joining the team and attending everything. Everything seems to be, all the feedback is good, like Kim said, and just seeing you present at all the things is just great to see. And thank you for jumping on and jumping aboard as quick as you did.
Margaret?
Me?
Yes, please.
Sorry. I have two, same with Pasquale. I want to rave that the events that, places that I took you, that you got introduced, and even the one where you had to get up and speak and you didn't think you were going to, you were so good. But I just thank you for wanting to jump in anything that I called and said, I got you set up to go to this place or that place, you've done it, and it's really important. So I appreciate that. And our teacher cadet group, the ISD, if everyone knows, has a program, Grow Your Own, and they offer scholarships to students that are going to school to be teachers. As of right now, the information we have 1, 2, 3, 4, we have 6 of our students that got those scholarships and are going to be going to school paid scholarships. And they are Autumn Rands, Audrina Nader, Aubrey Frank, Liliana Dabalier, Jacob Hill, and our very own Elizabeth Schaefer. And so I just think I need to rave. It's a tribute to Ms. Zabo and Ms. Shegna. That teacher cadet program has just flourished, and these kids are excited and they're working and they want to be teachers, and it's because of what they've been given in the classroom to be able to go. They were interviewed for the scholarship, the whole thing. It's just huge, and I'm proud. I'm so excited for all of those kids. Just what a great thing. So tribute to us.
Hopefully they'll come back.
Oh, well, there's 3 of them that have said they're coming back here to teach. So I love it. It's wonderful. So good for them.
Sandy?
Yep, I just real quick want to say, big, huge congratulations, obviously, to the track team for going states, but also just the thank you so much to Ms. Sable, Ms. Manguni, Ms. Morella, Mr. Tren, Ms. Calderon, and Mr. Kuzmuna, I'm sorry, Ms. Holly, in regards to getting all of these handbooks and athletic code of conduct things all set. I know it's a lot, and word for word stuff or whatever, but it needs to be done. It's important work, so thank you so much for everybody's attention in doing that and getting that done. I do appreciate that.
Thank you. Raymond?
Yes, sir. It was promises made, promises kept so far, right? So kudos to you, and I think you're doing a great job as we expected you would, and a lot of follow through with the promises that you've made. So that's key. So appreciate that. Thank you. And then also go on to the August 6th event last Thursday. I thought that was great, and thanks to everybody that put it together and the students that came out there and that made it happen, right? So it's one thing to set it up, but without the students actually going out there and participating, so good on them also, because Deb and I were out there, and there was quite a lot of kids laughing and joking and having a good time, and so I think they really appreciate it, and I think that's something that, a stepping stone to build on for the future. I think it was a lot of good things that came from that. And then, like Sandra said, to all our administrators and to you guys for going through all those policies and just how cumbersome and just tedious that is, and what a great job that you guys did to really get down deep and put all that together. Thank you. There's a lot of hard work put into that. And also to Preston for his handbook as well. I like the way that he did kind of put it in a different format that makes sense, from a parent perspective and from an athlete perspective, where it wasn't so robotic, and I thought he did a great job with that. So kudos to him. And that's what I got.
Thank you. Everybody took all of mine, but I'm going to add one more. The band had their band camp this week, and they did their performance on Saturday. And I don't know how they did it, because we sat there about 15 minutes and we were both like dying. But they did a great job, considering the weather and the heat and everything they had to deal with. They did a really, really good job, and they still have some work that they know they need to work on. So I just want to thank Molly Shack and our band boosters for the food and things like that, and the kids. They turned out and they did a great performance on Saturday. So I just want to add that with everything else we've done or said tonight. Okay, next item on our agenda. Mr. Castano, it's up to you now. Superintendent report. That's what's up.
I know it's late, but I don't want to go fast, because it's my first month here as superintendent, and I started on July 1st, and it was warm welcome starting with the Board of Education with just gifts from the town, which I've enjoyed already. Slice of T-Police pizza and so forth, but still got a long way to go to make my way around. Haven't had a lot of time to eat lately. But everybody in the office, everybody's been so warm, so nice, so friendly, so helpful. I have a lot of questions and a lot of unknowns in this district for me so far, but I'm learning a lot. So just everybody's been awesome. I've met with many city and township officials, local business owners, community members, met with all the board members one-on-one, all the staff members who are working this summer one-on-one, met with all the building administrators, and though they weren't working, they came in to meet with me. So they were excited to get in front of me as well. So I met with everybody I could possible in the last 30 days. I've attended Rotary and Lions Club and joining both groups. I think it's a great network. I've already connected with people from Rotary and Connect Folk, Welcome Back, and barbecuing, and we're going to have, I think it's meats. Okay, so got a good connection there to get some meats to barbecue. Did a facilities walkthrough with Preston, Dar, custodian Glenn, Dennis, learned about the campus, learned where every boiler was and every non-working thing and what had that tape on it and what needs to be fixed, what's new. To me, that was awesome, because I learned a lot about what's going on in the campus. And I got to say, kudos to our custodian maintenance team. This facilities look great, clean, well maintained. You can just see it from my experience. I was very impressed. Got to be on the Richmond TV program with Jason Robbins live. That was interesting. So I don't know if you watched that video, but it's on on that TV show, which hopefully I represented you guys in a good way. Welcome back field night, that was that Thursday that the athletics program threw, was awesome. I got focused on kids, connected with students, student athletes, everybody, and the kids are so nice. I keep telling everybody that they come up to me, they want to talk, they want me to know who they are, they say hi the next time I see them. So very excited to get to know more kids as we get back on campus. But that welcome back night, I can see it being a tradition. That's how you start traditions, is you start it. And then there was a lot of kids there, but even Preston said it was a good start, but we were definitely going to ask them what they liked and didn't like and grow from it. So I'm excited to see what that turns into with more involvement. Band camp was one of the highlights of my week. I love band camp. I didn't even have to go anywhere to go to band camp. Usually I have to travel a couple hours, but it was right here. So when I was getting tired of my office and taking phone calls or meetings, I would walk out to band camp and connect with the kids, eat lunch, talk to them. Again, meeting them was awesome. The teacher is amazing, Ms. Shack. The Saturday performance was great. I can't wait to get to know them more. And athletic teams that have been on campus, just getting connected with them, meeting the cheerleaders, the football team, just trying to get out there to get to know that, so they know who I am. The summer camp at Lee, I got to substitute for Mrs. Schlehuber, sorry. I got to substitute for her. I got to go there and spend time and but just going there and seeing the kids again. Those kids are so cute, and they're there in summer learning, reading, math, and writing. Like, it's just awesome. So we're a great program. I'm just so impressed with you guys so far. This week, we're preparing for our administrative retreat. I'm so excited because I haven't been in a room with our administrative leaders yet. You see, I'm having them here today. I've called them thousands of times. I texted them thousands of times, asking them questions. But we get to spend 2 full days together at a leadership retreat that I'm planning. Cynthia's helped me out tremendously. But we're staying local. We're at the ISD. They're hosting us. They're paying for our breakfast, lunch, no fee. We're doing some team building activities in the evening on one of the days, but the theme is leading together. I'm new. I can't lead alone, so I'm leading with them. I'm so excited to learn from them. So we have a lot of cool stuff planned this week. I feel really good after that because I really need to get with them to feel like I have my team with me. So the welcome back staff PD, we're planning August 31st is the welcome back. You will get invites to come to that morning if you like. Where I'm the keynote speaker, I guess, because I'm the new guy. So I'll be showcasing who I am and sharing my message with staff. And then that week is all about professional development for getting our staff ready so that they're ready for kids. I'm always very excited about that, getting staff in the right mindset to welcome back kids on September 8th. So you'll hear more information about that. I'm very excited about our student enrollment update. We have 1,542 kids registered in Power School. And I know our budgeted was 1,530. We don't know about drops yet, so there could be some sneaky things with that, but we have 33 processing too on top of that. So we're looking good enrollment-wise, and you saw that in your packet. So that's the district update. Budget, I'll try to keep the legislative update quick, but the biggest one is the state aid budget, right? That was passed. So a couple things about that. Fund allowance increased to $10,300 per pupil, right? So it's a $250 increase, which we already budgeted for because it was kind of in writing. So that's looking good for us. But the good thing is they're doing a per pupil membership will be calculated on a 3-year average. So they're working on a 3-year average calculation. And for us, that's looking favorable, where we may end up with some more funds than we projected because of that calculated 3-year average.
So like a bonus, you're saying?
Tammy, I don't know how to explain it better than that.
If they look at what your blended count would be for the school year, and if that is less than the 3-year average, then you get the 3-year average as your blended count. So for us, if we get only what we budgeted for the number of students, our average is higher, so we would get additional students at the 10,000.
Okay.
So Tammy and I, we're looking at how this affects Richmond Community Schools, and we're starting to work on actually, Tammy already started working on it. I didn't say it.
I know.
I stopped that. And, so if I say it, then I expect it to be reprimanded.
Oh, you will be.
I know. I didn't say it.
Oh, yeah.
Valid,
That would be
valid.
But, so we're looking, Tammy's putting together all our numbers, and as we get a little bit more concrete, we'll share them with the board as we go. But the other cool thing that you're gonna see is that they're getting the elimination of 31A at risk and section 41 bilingual. They're getting rid of those categories, and then they're just doing a weighted funding class. So we're gonna get it in our budget automatically, not separated. Okay, so they're working through that and what that looks like for us. But you're not going to see 31A and section 41 bilingual. It's going to be kind of creating a new weighted pupil count. So it's going to be per our pupils, and here's how much you get extra on top of your budget. But we will spend it towards those needs.
Right.
It's just a different way of going about it. And then the other one you will be having conversation is that great 31AA, pupil mental health and school safety. We've come to learn that we're probably going to get, everyone's going to get the $73 per pupil to improve student mental health. So that's $112,000 in change for us. But then the other one, $147 per pupil to improve school safety. That's what we'll have to decide if we want to opt in, with those mass casualty events, waivers. So the county's talking about this. Everybody in the county superintendents are really thinking about this. We're missing out on this money, and they're getting legal opinions. So once we get more, we'll come to you with more information so we can make an informed decision. But that's $225,000 that we could use towards all of our safety stuff that would take off the budget. But our things we have to decide once we have all the facts. So, other than that, you already know about the cell phone stuff. We're putting into action. The literacy stuff continues to be dyslexia screening, literacy. You guys are, and I say we are ahead of the game. We're doing Dibbles. We purchased Dibbles, which is the K3, and we're already doing that this school year, which really, you didn't have to do that until next school year. So we're getting a head start with those things, with dyslexia, literacy. Our new curriculum, SAVIS curriculum, has really proven to be really good from what our principal said. And our NWA science and reading material. The letters thing is just another company that's doing training. We chose to go with NWA, and we're working with the county on how it's going to look. If they're mandating that.
Didn't they want to mandate a software, and they're saying now we can choose?
We have some flexibility on the list, and we're good right now. Nothing that we're not doing, so we're good. So I'll end it there. There's nothing really else legislatively going on that's major. There's obviously something always popping up, but nothing like hot topics at this point.
Any questions for Ms. Squally? Okay, next item on our agenda is our items of interest from the board. Raymond, you're first this time.
Nothing.
Margaret.
Just to let everyone know that Pasquale and I are doing orientation for our new board rep, and Kelsey's going to join next week. So get them ready, and we're going to talk about I think we're going to talk about having them start the first meeting in September as opposed to the second meeting in August. So Deb, I'll let you know whether they're going to, but they're excited to meet and get this done. Yeah.
What is it? Is it Claire?
Claire, yep.
I saw her at an event completely outside of this district, and she was so excited. She approached me. She's how to be on the board. She's going to be great.
She is going to be
a great one.
Yeah, she is.
Anything else, Margaret?
That's it.
Thank you. Sarah?
Nothing.
Sandy?
All set.
Danielle?
It doesn't really fit into anything, but I thought of it when Ray mentioned his raves. So I had to laugh. I just had to let Pasquale know I had to laugh because it was when I was going through the claims and accounts. One of the budget lines was landscaping and 2 applications of Roundup. And I remembered when I read it, I laughed because I remembered in your interview, you mentioned that the dandelions and the weeds in the yard mattered. And so I saw the 2 applications of Roundup on the claims and accounts, and that made me smile.
But then budget.
Yes.
Okay, so he doesn't have to worry about the dandelions. Candace?
No, just great job to the band boosters this week. I was going to add this in my race, I know you already did, but it was so hot on that field all week. Kudos to the kids. I know, I'm pretty sure my daughter lost quite a bit of weight this week. It was just so hot all week long on that track. And I can't wait to see them perform and keep getting better as the season goes. And that's it.
I don't have anything. Okay, next item on our agenda is public comments. Since the last board meeting, the board received an email from a community member expressing their views on the bond, preschool, schools of choice. This email was forwarded to Mr. Cosmano, who replied to the individual sharing the views of the district on these topics. There were no public comments from the June board meeting, our last meeting, so there was nothing that we need to address there. At this time, any member of the public will have 3 minutes to address the board. Please sign in and state your name. If you wish a follow-up, please provide contact information on the public comment sign-in sheet. Are there any public comments? Pat? Okay, we're going to move on. Being no public comments, we are going to move on to our action items. The first one, I am looking for a motion for the approval of the food service NutriSlice digital menu boards.
I move to accept the recommendation of the superintendent and approve the purchase of digital menu board software and annual subscription from NutriSlice for a total not to exceed $20,593 as outlined in the attached documentation. Funding for this purchase will be provided through the Food Service Fund School Meals Program.
Support. Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, this will be a roll call vote. Margaret?
Aye.
Sandy? Aye. Candace? Aye. Raymond?
Aye.
Sarah? Aye. Danielle?
Aye.
I vote aye. Motion carries. Looking for a motion for the approval of the master agreement between Richmond Community Schools and the MEA Richmond Early Learning Childhood Center bargaining unit.
I move to accept the recommendations of the superintendent and approve the revised collective bargaining agreement between the Board of Education of Richmond Community Schools and the MEA Richmond Early Learning Childhood Center bargaining unit, restoring the parent-teacher conference language that was inadvertently omitted from the agreement approved by the board on June 8, 2026.
Support.
Consistent with the parties' tentative agreement as outlined in the supporting documentation.
Support.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Being no further business, the board will adjourn at 10:31. Thank you, everyone.